Chapter 2899 Success. Chapter 2899 Success. No way, it's not enough yet. Add more. Faster. Hurry up a bit more. Long Fei urged her on. Moreover, he walked out from the research basement into the courtyard. On his palm, there was a 10-meter tall ball of spirit liquid, madly revolving. It was like he was performing magic. Fu Shishan, Wu Li, and the other two kept running back and forth, but even so, Long Fei still called them slow. Just a little more. Faster. Long Fei frowned. He was also drenched from head to toe, and his true spiritual value were being consumed crazily. 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. If Long Fei did not have more than 8 million true spiritual value, he would have already exhausted himself. Even so, his physical body was unable to withstand it. He couldn't bear it. However, he tried his best to hold it in. If he couldn't, then his efforts would be in vain. For the sake of the warriors of the East Imperial City, no matter how painful it was, Long Fei would still endure it. Black and White had said many things. From his words, Long Fei knew that he was once Ancient World's #1 powerhouse, and could crush all the realms under Ancient World. He could do whatever he wanted, but in the end, he was suppressed by the repression of boundary stones. Failed what? What was hidden in it? He did not say, and Long Fei did not know either. The more he helped, the more difficult the road would be for Long Fei in the future. The Save the East Imperial City system did not have any missions, nor did it have anyone special to save, but Long Fei faintly felt that this was the tribulation that he would have to undergo. He felt that he had to save her. Maybe he was hiding something. Maybe. That was his mission. Hurry up. Quick, quick, quick. Long Fei was sweating like it was raining, perspiration trickling down his forehead. He was completely focused on the gigantic pill and had never tried it before. Not even once. If he failed, tens of millions of East Imperial City warriors would die. He couldn't afford to make any mistakes. At the same time, he continued to purchase from the system's merchant shop. I'm out of money. Rumble. 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 The sound of the spiritual liquid rotating was extremely shocking. For an entire 8 hours, Long Fei continuously controlled the spirit liquid. His true spirit flame was continuously released, and the ancient alchemy technique was also continuously controlled. To Long Fei, alchemy was merely a matter of minutes. He had never cultivated a pill in 8 hours before. Fu Shishan, Wu Li, and Qian Yang were also exhausted like a dog. Fu Shishan threw the last spirit grass over to Long Fei and sat on the ground paralyzed. His face was flushed red and drenched in sweat. He panted heavily as he raised his head to look at the huge pellets in the sky and said, Long Fei, the spirit grass is all gone. Wu Li also leaned to the side, not bothering to wipe the sweat off his face. He stared at Long Fei's hand and the huge pellet. In his heart, other than shock, he could not find any other words to describe his current state of mind. Too strong, really too strong. Unprecedented. Qian Yang also looked at Long Fei with his mouth wide opened in shock. He had always been not optimistic about Long Fei, but now the power Long Fei displayed completely overturned him. Good boy, if this pill is successful, then he will become the #1 alchemist in the East Imperial City. Long Fei's body trembled slightly. The pellet was too heavy and his true spiritual value was almost depleted. The Zhongling pills had also been used up. However, he was just short of his last breath. Looking at the pellet above his head, Long Fei's mind stirred. The strong power of the ancient alchemy technique came out of his body once again. Turn, spin, spin. The fusion of spirit liquids. Fusion of chrysanthemum. The two fused into one and reached a perfect state. Finally, Long Fei released the remaining 100,000 true spiritual value from his body, and let out a heavy roar. Done. 100,000 true spiritual value transformed into a true spirit fire, suddenly enveloping the enormous pellet, as a series of creaking sounds were emitted. 100,000 true spiritual value were completely burnt. All the strength in Long Fei's body was suddenly thrown into the air. Whoosh! The pill entered the tens of meters in the sky. Cold air blew in from outside the city to hasten the cooling of the pill. Quickly cool down. Finally, it landed in the yard with a hong sound. It was like a huge iron ball that was 10 meters tall. It looked very shocking. Everyone stared dumbstruck at the huge iron ball. This is a pill. Such a huge pill. I want to know who can swallow this pill in a single gulp. What's the use of it if it can't be swallowed? That's right, Long Fei, what exactly did you refine? Long Fei excitedly looked at the gigantic pellet. Even though he was tired, so tired that he was gasping for breath, he was actually very excited in his heart. The idea moved the pellet into the space ring as soon as it moved, and said, "Who said we must consume the pellet? Heh! If I don't consume it, how should I use it? Could it be that everyone is digging for food with a spoon?" Fu Shishan had a puzzled expression as well. Long Fei laughed. "You will know tomorrow." Heh. If he wasn't wrong, then this pill could save the poison from the spirit-gathering pill within the bodies of all the martial artists in the city. However, Long Fei didn't dare guarantee anything in his heart. What if he failed? At this moment, a student ran into the courtyard and said, "The principal wants me to tell you that Su Wantu wants to see you." Long Fei was startled. "Su Wantu? F***CK. You're thinking of me now? Tell him that you want to see me. Wait 3 days. That afternoon, he was really unhappy. Originally, the spirit concentrating pills were not spread very strongly, and if the Su family stepped in to stop them, it would not have reached such a stage. The disciple said, "Su Wantu said that as long as you can save his daughter, he will give you an apology in front of everyone in the city." Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Long Fei's eyes became serious. Su is in trouble. Then, Long Fei quickly rushed out. If Su Wantu wanted to see him, Long Fei would definitely make him wait for 3 days. But right now, Su was in danger, so Long Fei couldn't wait for even a second. After all, this little girl had helped him a lot before. Seeing Su Wantu, Long Fei immediately said, "We can talk about our matters in the future. Let's first talk about what happened to Su." Su Wantu could tell that Long Fei was extremely tired, but his concern for Su caused him to blame himself in his heart, and he said, "Su Sesame has been poisoned by the spirit-gathering pill, just that. The poison in her body is 100 times stronger than spirit-gathering pills. Long Fei, do you have a way? King shit, you dare to touch Lao's woman? King F 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 King F. Just you wait. Long Fei cursed, his mind becoming tense. Let's go to the Su family first. In another place, the 2 girls beside Godchild were lying on the ground completely naked, without any signs of life. Godchild glanced at him coldly, walked out of the room, and said coldly, "Tomorrow morning, we will begin harvesting." Chapter 2900 I leave my daughter to you. Chapter 2900 I leave my daughter to you late at night in the Su clan. When he rushed to Su's room, Su was already in deep slumber, but he still muttered from time to time, "Pain, father, I'm in so much pain. Big brother Long Fei, where are you? I can't see you anymore." In the room, 4 senior elders of the Su family, all of whom were powerhouse of the senior realm, were constantly releasing cure on Su. Cure, a secret technique that uses a person's true soul to transform. It consumed a lot of true spiritual value. The powerhouse of the senior realm could not hold on for long, and after these few hours, the healing effect of the cure was getting weaker and weaker. Originally, 3 seconds of activation was enough, but now, it could be released once every second. Su was completely supported by the cure. Long Fei sat on the edge of the bed and studied his own face. The idea moved slightly and moved through his entire body, finally landing on the pubis purplish gold GU worm. Su Wantu immediately came over, and asked, "How is it?" Long Fei stared at Su Wantu and said solemnly, "East Imperial City has so many people who have been poisoned, why are you not being cautious? Furthermore, you were poisoned by Su. How did you become a father? Kid, what did you say to the city lord?" A man immediately shouted. Long Fei did not even look at him, not giving him any face at all. He was currently filled with rage, because the poison in Su's body was a lot more advanced than the spirit-gathering pill. He didn't know. He didn't know that the pills he refined were useless. He wasn't confident at all. Long Fei took a glance at the elders of the Su family who were still releasing their cure and said, "Do you know what the both of you are doing? Your cure is not trying to save Su Su, but to raise the GU worms in her body. Once it forms a cocoon, the master of this GU would be able to instantly take Su Su's life. Su Wantu, no matter what, you are still the city lord. You are experienced and knowledgeable, to the point you don't even know about this." Su Wantu's face darkened. He had no power to refute. However, all of the Su clan elders were displeased. "Brat, who do you think you are? Do you know where this is? This is the city lord's mansion, and this is the Su clan. Who do you think you are?" Su Wantu's voice sunk as he shouted loudly, "All of you, shut up." The room instantly quieted down. Because the few elders were extremely unhappy with Long Fei, they did not manage to connect their cure well. In that moment, Su Su suddenly woke up from the pain. His eyeballs bulged and were bloodshot. He was trembling from head to toe due to the excruciating pain. "Ah! It hurts. Father, father. It hurts, it hurts." Su Wantu instantly stepped forward and said, father is here, so Su Su does not need to be afraid." Looking at Su Su's expression, Long Fei's heart sank as well. "Su Su, sorry, I came late." Although he was furious, Long Fei endured it at this moment. Su Wantu couldn't even protect her own daughter, and the poison in her body was just as Su Wantu said. It was at least 100 times stronger than the spirit-gathering pill. When Su Su saw Long Fei, he immediately pounced forward and threw himself into Long Fei's embrace, and immediately started bawling, "Woo! Woo woo, asterisk big brother Long Fei, I thought you didn't want me anymore. Woo woo. I feel so uncomfortable." Long Fei clenched his teeth, and said softly, "Don't be afraid, I will definitely save you. I definitely will." While they were talking, Long Fei took out a small-sized medicinal pellet and fed it to Su Su. The medicinal pill entered his body. Su Su's pain lessened. However, she did not spit out black blood. Useless. Long Fei's heart sank. The level of the GU is too high. Only after refining an even stronger insect slaughtering pill will it be useful. Su Su felt comfortable and said, "Big brother Long Fei, I don't feel pain anymore, Before he could finish his words. "Woo! Ah!" Su Su's body suddenly shook, and his entire being seemed to have gone mad as he started to struggle frantically. "Ah! Ah! My stomach, ah!" It was as if he was suffering from a psychotic attack. His hands frantically scratched his stomach. The clothes were torn. His stomach began to vibrate, and rays of golden and purple light began to shine from his stomach, as if there was a lantern in his stomach. The meridian on her abdomen was clearly illuminated. It was completely purplish black, but her belly was still cracking, and traces of blood seeped out from the cracks. His body felt like it was about to split open piece by piece. The look of pain was unparalleled. "How could this be? How can this be? What did you give her?" "Su Su, don't be afraid, Daddy is here." Su Wantu was panicking. His hands quickly formed a seal and his forehead sank. With a heavy voice, he said, "Ancient tree that reached the sky. Open." Buzz. The phantom of a huge ancient tree appeared on his body. A few Su family elders were shocked. Ancient tree of life. The glow on the ancient tree scattered down, and quickly gathered onto Su Su's body. Su Su's pain was alleviated, the cracks also disappeared, and the golden and purple light also disappeared. He regained his calm. Long Fei's heart tensed up. He did not know what to say. As a father, he couldn't do anything about his daughter's pain. However, with such a powerful recovery spirit injected into Su Su's body, the GU worm in her body would quickly grow, and the GU worm would constantly absorb her true soul. The reason why Su Su was in such pain was because the true soul in her body had been sucked dry. Su Su once again fell into a deep sleep. Due to the absorption of her true soul, the GU worms in her body also calmed down. A few elders were connecting with each other again to inject the healing true soul into Su Su's body. The corners of Su Wantu's eyes were moist, his heart blaming himself. Long Fei also said solemnly, "Fuck, Don't let me know who refined this kind of evil pill, or else I will definitely overturn 18 generations of his ancestors. Really pissed off. Su Wantu hesitated for a moment, then said, Long Fei, come out. Long Fei glanced at Su Wantu and followed him out. Su Wantu asked, is there any way to cure the poison in Su's body? Long Fei said honestly, I can already cure most of the pill's venom, but the venom in Su's body is exceptionally strong. It is completely different from the venom in the spirit-gathering pill. I really can't think of a way right now, but I will definitely do my best. Thank you, Su Wantu suddenly said. Long Fei was stunned. Su Wantu said, last time was my mistake, I shouldn't have looked at you like that. This time, if not for the armor you gave Su, I'm afraid that Su would already have. Long Fei's brows tightened, and said, who wants to kill her? Su Wantu said, I will take care of this matter. Long Fei, my daughter really likes you. She has never seriously liked anyone before, so today I'll pass her to you. You have to treat her well. Otherwise, I won't let you off so easily. Long Fei. He didn't know what to say. I keep having the feeling that the Su Wantu today is a little different. It was the Elder Swordsman's ancient sword spiritual power. It was the Elder Swordsman's ancient sword spiritual power. Suddenly betrothed his daughter to him? This. Was it the proud and aloof Su Wantu who valued his own identity? Long Fei was unable to react in time. Su Wantu patted Long Fei's shoulders and said, Brat, don't disappoint me. Finished. Su Wantu turned and walked out of the courtyard. He did not enter Su's room, but instead left. Long Fei was secretly startled, and muttered, Damn, am I very familiar with you? Today is my first time meeting you officially, why don't you just hand your daughter over to me? This is too hasty. Is it because I'm too handsome, too cool, too attractive? Long Fei muttered but did not think too much about it. He turned around and walked into Su's room. Seeing the changing expression on Su's face, his heart tensed up. The situation was thorny, and Long Fei was helpless to do anything. Ordinary antidotes were of no use to Su at all, even if he had released the super pill. Unless, if he could find the evil pill master who refined this pellet, he would not be able to do anything. Long Fei gently held Su's small hand and said, Rest assured, I will definitely save you, I definitely will. Su smiled as if she had heard what Long Fei said. Then, Long Fei also quickly left. He returned to Lan Mai's place. Canon Tan Dapao quietly landed and said, Brother Fei, what's the situation now? The warriors in East Imperial City are even more crazy. If this goes on, I'm afraid that they will lose control of themselves. Long Fei asked, How have you been these past few days? Tan Dapao said, Nothing. The Su family had sent a few hidden guards to watch the place, but they were all under my surveillance, and for some reason, they had all left. Long Fei's heart trembled, he did not think much about it, and said, Go and check the source of the spirit-gathering pill for me, if you can find that evil pill master. One night. If you can't find it, then come back as soon as possible. Tan Dapao nodded, and said, Amen. He quickly left the yard. Long Fei straightened his clothes, revealing a bland smile, and said, Lan Mai, I'm back. The lights in the room instantly lit up, and Lan Mai also quickly ran out. She was wearing her pajamas, and two of the rabbits she was wearing were swinging around. Where have you been these past few days? I'm so worried about you. Her voice sounded worried, but it was also incomparably gentle. Lan Mai knew a lot of things that happened in the city these past few days. The young warriors and elders of the Lan clan all became like madmen. Not just Lan clan. It was the same for the disciples of the hundreds of families in East Imperial City. One by one, they roamed the streets, their eyes glazed over, their bodies lean, as if they were soulless people. Long Fei's heart immediately warmed, and the tiredness on his body instantly disappeared. There was a feeling of home here that made him feel very comfortable. Long Fei lightly patted Lan Mai's back, and said, I'm fine. Lan Mai hugged even tighter and said, I'm so worried about you. Its body was stuck on Long Fei's chest, and it was even wearing a pajamas. That kind of feeling. Long Fei was a little unable to control himself, and said, Don't worry, others will always have something going on. I will definitely be fine. But, He tried his best to hold it in. Because he was worried that he would harm Lan Mai. Lan Mai had said it before, that if she were to give away someone who wasn't a holy vein for the first time, she would quickly die. She only had 1 or 2 months of time remaining in her life. At the very least, she still had a little time left for Long Fei to find stronger and higher-leveled blood vein. If he had hurt Lan Mai because of his impulsiveness, Long Fei would blame himself for his entire life. Long Fei's body was scorching hot, even Lan Mai could feel the reaction from his body, her small face was flushed red, and she whispered into Long Fei's ears, "I like you, I want to be your new wife, can you?" Her words were direct. Long Fei was not stupid, so he naturally understood what was going on. Even a man would not be able to resist such an alluring woman. However, Long Fei held back, not because he wasn't a man, because he didn't want Lan Mai to disappear from his life, and said slightly, "Don't be anxious, once I settle the matter of your veins being blocked, I will make you my Long Fei's woman." Lan Mai's heart tensed, but suddenly tears started streaming down her face uncontrollably. She had given up, but Long Fei was still working hard. She really didn't know how many good deeds such a good man had done in her previous life. Long Fei slightly said, "All right, take a good rest. I still have some matters to attend to. Be careful alone at night." Even though Lan Mai was reluctant to part with it, she wouldn't stop Long Fei. She replied obediently, "Amen, I'll wait for your return." Long Fei gently smiled and said, "Be good." Coming out from his home, Long Fei took a deep breath. As he looked at the streets filled with disciples from various families, he said in his heart, "I will definitely save East Imperial City." Speed increase. He was going out of town. Refining the pill was not enough, because he was unable to detoxify all those who were poisoned in an instant. He had to have help. Beneath the city walls, in a small, dilapidated courtyard. In the corner, the tobacco was burning. Long Fei came to the small courtyard and respectfully said, "Elder swordsman." And then, he did not stay any longer and directly walked into the house to leave the city. Elder swordsman said lightly, "He is the descendant of God's tribe, you can't win against him. Moreover, aren't you from the same clan as him?" Long Fei stopped in his tracks, slightly stunned for a moment, and said, "A clan? I am of the God's tribe." He did not understand. However, Long Fei asked with interest, "Elder swordsman, how did you know?" Squeak, squeak, squeak. The aura on his body trembled slightly as he raised his eyes to look at Long Fei. He said, "Is that not the case? Otherwise, how could you have a space ring from the God's tribe, and one that only the presbyter of God's tribes are qualified to wear?" The air in the yard was a little cold. With killing intent. Long Fei was exceptionally sensitive to killing intent, and said, "Elder swordsman, you truly know a lot, even the space ring that presbyter of God's tribe is qualified to wear, seems like you understand God's tribe very well. A person who knows the God's tribe so well yet is staying in a place like the East Imperial City where people treat him as a prisoner. In such a courtyard, what are you trying to hide from?" As soon as Long Fei finished his sentence, the murderous aura in the yard grew stronger. Elder swordsman did not seem to reveal anything, but he was staring straight at Long Fei from the corner of his eyes. Long Fei said, "Allow me to make a bold guess, you can't be a felon caught by the God's tribe, right? Hiding in such a dark place, you don't have God's tribe curse mark on you, right?" Buzz. In that instant, the atmosphere in the courtyard became abnormally gloomy and cold. Elder swordsman slowly raised his gaze, his body slowly straightened, his eyes were like a beast, staring straight at Long Fei. Imperceptibly, the killing intent in his body stirred like an ancient sword spiritual power. Chapter 2902 Identification Disclosure. Chapter 2902 Identification Disclosure. At first, Long Fei was only guessing. But the killing intent that erupted from Elder Swordsman's body caused him to tremble. Long Fei's heart sank. Could it be that I guessed right? Was he really a felon caught by the God's tribe? And with God's tribe curse mark just like me? In that instant, Long Fei frowned, and inwardly shouted, "Not good." If he guessed correctly, the Elder Swordsman would let him off. If others knew that Long Fei had the game system in his body, Long Fei would also try to kill him, and not leave him alive. The same thing is happening now. In that moment, Long Fei seemed to have not thought about it at all. The idea moved, green dragon battlesuits, open, buzz, roar. A draconic roar was heard. However, in that instant, the elder swordsman disappeared. In the instant the dragon's roar exploded, a shocking sword spirit fiercely slashed down. Hualala, hualala, hualala. The green dragon ghosting had shattered, and the dragon's roar had not fully sounded before it dissipated. The sword intent from this strike was terrifying. Long Fei had never seen such a dense and strong sword intent. A single sword strike had destroyed the azure dragon. Moreover, in this instant, the strong sword intent directly formed into a huge sword that looked like it was solid. The huge sword slashed and smashed towards Long Fei's head. Had also seen the elder swordsman's attacks, they were very strong and sharp. However, the sword intent he was currently displaying could not be described as forceful. It was as if it could destroy the world. Not only that, all kinds of lights flashed under elder swordsman's clothes. The light emitted by the curse mark S. They were all densely packed with curse mark S, and even the marks on their faces appeared as well. His face was covered in sweat. The black runes burned elder swordsman like flames. Elder swordsman had a painful expression on his face, but his eyes were filled with an extremely strong hatred. With a gloomy and hoarse voice, he said, "God's tribe destroyed my family. I will use my entire life to kill all of your God's tribe's dogs. Die." The power was like a raging sea. The sword intent came crashing down like a sky. This power. Enough to instantly kill the Emperor powerhouse. He couldn't block it. Long Fei was afraid that no amount of power could resist him, he was too strong. The power released from Elder Swordsman's body was too strong. Killing flying sword. Buzz. Long Fei moved and immediately took out the injured killing sword. However, before the killing sword could go up, it was squashed down by the incomparably powerful ancient sword spiritual power. Clang. It fell onto the ground, and in front of the ancient sword spiritual power, it was as if it was squashed down like an ant. The killing flying sword was also a type of ancient inheritance. Although the Mahayana realm was injured, it was still enough to instantly kill the powerhouse of the senior realm. However, it was instantly crushed. What did that mean? The ancient sword spiritual power released by the elder swordsman was also the power of the ancient inheritance. Long Fei's mind tensed up and anxiously said, "Elder swordsman, listen to me, I am the same as you, and am also wanted by God's tribe." In a moment of desperation, Long Fei had to say it. If he didn't, his life would be gone. Between exposure and life, there was no doubt that Long Fei would choose his life. Elder swordsman coldly said, "When did God's tribe's people have so little backbone? Do you think I'd believe you? That descendant of God's tribe should also be brought here by you, right? Ever since you appeared, the matters of the East Imperial City have never stopped. You're too suspicious." Elder swordsman did not believe in Long Fei. Moreover, his revealing himself already showed how strong his killing intent was. He had always wanted to find out Long Fei's identity, so it could be said that no one was more clear of Long Fei than him. During this time, everything that Long Fei revealed was true. Save them. Save them. Saving Night Valley, and now also saving East Imperial City at the alchemy. All of this was too puzzling for him. He even wanted to exclude Long Fei, but Long Fei's words just now made it clear to him that he could not stay. If he was still alive, then Powerhouse of God's tribe would gather in the East Imperial City in the near future and he would not be able to save him. Thus, Long Fei had to die. Damn. I've always thought that he was formidable, but *CK, I never thought that they would be powerful to this extent. There's no other way. Long Fei was burning with anxiety, and said, "You don't believe what I'm saying, right? All right. Then look carefully." While they were talking, Long Fei moved, ancient inheritance, super force of Ming clan, dark black flame. His left hand moved. Buzz. The purplish-black underworld fire began to burn, which was nothing much. More importantly, when he released the ancient inheritance, his chest also started to shine with the light of the God's tribe's curse mark. He wasn't sure about anything else, but the S were clearer than anyone else. He stared at Long Fei and his gaze tightened. God's tribe's curse mark. Since he had already revealed it, Long Fei no longer hid anything. He pulled the clothes on his chest and said, "Now do you believe me? Like I said, I'm the same kind of person as you. The God's tribe space ring you're talking about, I took them from you after killing the presbyter of God's tribe. If you don't believe me, then just kill me. Let the God's tribe have one less enemy, and you can take my head and give it to the God's tribe. Maybe the God's tribe will spare your life, since my Emperor Xian doesn't want my life for 1 or 2 days." Yi Zichen spoke in a hurry. He spoke very quickly. Because the ancient sword spiritual power he obtained was getting closer and closer to him, it was only half a centimeter away from his scalp. At this moment, buzz! The great sword stopped. Long Fei's forehead dripped with cold sweat as he cursed in his heart, "Fuck, I almost died here." He only had one life. Not a game, not a revival. Hoo. Long Fei gasped for breath, his eyes raised slightly as he looked at the huge ancient sword intent that had not left, and said, "Elder swordsman, if you do not remove this sword intent, you and I will be exposed, and with our current strength, we are not able to fight against God's tribe." Long Fei had already kept the super force of Ming clan, and thought to himself, "Damn, it's all because of the power of the ancient inheritance. Why is my power so weak? How the hell do I cultivate this darn ancient inheritance? Damn you." The elder swordsman idea moved, and the turbulent courtyard instantly became quiet. He stared at the God's tribe curse mark which was slowly hiding itself on Long Fei's chest and asked, "Why did your imprint disappear so quickly?" The mark on his body was still there. In order to hide these imprints, elder swordsmen had to pay an extremely heavy price. In these few hundred years, his cultivation had not advanced even a single inch, just to hide these curse mark. Moreover, "Why is there only a small mark on your chest?" Long Fei replied, "I'm not sure either, maybe it's because your head is more valuable than mine. Let's talk about these things later. Elder swordsman, we are of the same race, and taking over the God's tribe is our common goal. You just said that there is a descendant of God's tribe in the East Imperial City, and you think you can beat him?" Elder swordsman coldly said, "Royal realm? An existence just like an ant." Chapter 2903 Reaching Consensus. Chapter 2903 Reaching Consensus. The elder swordsman is very strong. How strong is it? I don't know. How strong was he? I don't know. But, to sum it up, royal realm was like an ant. Then how strong was he? The emperor realm? God's holy state? Even higher realms? Moreover, he definitely had the power of the ancient inheritance on him, and had already cultivated it to an extremely explosive level. How could someone who had obtained the power of the ancient inheritance be weak? Long Fei's heart trembled, and said, "Then can you help me?" Elder swordsman looked at Long Fei, and said indifferently, "No, and if you don't want to ignite the flames in your body, I recommend that you better not provoke that descendant of God's tribe. Otherwise, not only will you die, you'll also implicate the people of the entire East Imperial City." Long Fei's heart trembled. Long Fei is indeed clear about the methods used by the God's tribe, a plane of existence which is billions of dollars instantly turned into dust. He simply wouldn't tell you that much. It was a direct attack. Because he was the overlord and because he controlled the universal boundary, he could break anyone's life no matter who he wanted. Cruel. What did not exist was only the reason of the weak. The word cruel did not exist in the eyes of Powerhouse. Elder swordsman bowed, his expression returning to normal, and he said, "Forget it, you cannot save East Imperial City." While they were talking, the elder swordsman slowly walked into the room with his back bent. Long Fei was a little angry in his heart, and said, "Don't tell me you want to hide here for your entire life. Are you like a hunchback for life? Don't you want to stand up? Don't you want to go out and take a look? Don't you want to trample God's tribe to death?" He spoke with a heavy tone. The elder swordsman in the room did not respond, he only revealed a bitter smile. When had Long Fei ever talked about things that he had not thought about before? But his loss was a complete mess. His family, his people, even his sect had completely annihilated all those who were related to him. This was the result of his resistance. He was once as hot-blooded and as indignant as Long Fei, but in the end, it was not that he did not want revenge, nor that the hatred in his heart had disappeared, but it was because the god's tribe was too strong, a giant that was tens of thousands of meters tall standing in front of him. Immovable. It was filled with powerlessness. Long Fei was still unwilling, and said, "Elder swordsman, just now, you wanted to kill me in front of the people of God's tribe. I know that your blood has never been cold before. If you want to take revenge, if you want to kill, then go ahead and do it all." Elder swordsman still did not respond. Long Fei let out a long sigh, then said, "Before, I didn't know, but now I understand. No wonder the god's tribe was able to control the universal boundary for billions of years and stand firmly. The people who were wanted by the god's tribe were all like you. No one dared to resist, and if I let you kneel down, you'll kneel down, and if I tell you that you're a dog, you'll be a dog for life." Without waiting for Long Fei to finish, buzz! A sword chime sounded in the room. It was extremely sharp. Without waiting for Long Fei's reaction, a figure rushed out. The 7-foot-long blade directly struck at the center between Long Fei's brows. Elder swordsman's eyes were like swords. The aura on his body was also like a sword. Exceptionally angry. Long Fei could feel it. The air seemed as if it was ignited by the flames of fury that was being emitted from Elder swordsman's body. It was even stronger than the previous ancient sword spiritual power. He couldn't stop it at all. However, Long Fei was not afraid. Her eyes did not even bat an eyelid as she replied, "I'm not wrong. If everyone were like you, the god's tribe would still be able to rule the universal boundary for another billions of years. You will never be able to take revenge. You will only be able to hide in this dark place forever. Elder swordsman, I know that my cultivation is not even considered as an ant in front of you, but I have the heart to rebel. Not to mention a descendant of God's tribe, even if Emperor Xian were before me, I would still dare to rebel. Since life and death were indifferent to it, he might as well do it if he refused to accept it." He did not know about the past events in the Zhenwu continent, but he was very clear about what had happened in the Zhenwu continent. Long Fei's heart was full of fire. They had finally met a descendant of God's tribe in East Imperial City. How could they let him off? Who cares what the consequences would be? With Long Fei's character, we can talk after we kill him. Elder swordsman stared at Long Fei, and said, "Are you not afraid of death?" Long Fei said, "I am afraid, but I think there is no one more afraid of death than me, but I am more afraid of being like you, hiding in this kind of place and doing nothing, unable to raise your head up for the rest of your life." Cluck, cluck, cluck. The sound of cracking ice filled the air. The air was going to explode. The look in Elder Swordsman's eyes became more and more sharp, as though 10,000 sword beams were going to kill Long Fei. Long Fei also looked at Elder Swordsman. His eyes were bloodshot. Their eyes met. The surrounding air seemed to be on fire, and the two of them seemed to have entered a kind of idea battlefield as they fought in a frenzy. After a long time, Elder Swordsman gently retracted his gaze. Was Long Fei victorious in this battle? Long Fei's palms were covered in cold sweat and he also heavily exhaled. Then, Elder Swordsman said coldly, "I can help you, but I won't reveal myself." He was gambling. It was a small bet, because he couldn't bet too much on Long Fei. He couldn't see much hope in Long Fei, so it was obvious that he would lose. Long Fei's heart relaxed, and he said, "These words of yours are enough. There needs to be a process of understanding between people." Since Elder Swordsman was willing to help him, it meant that Long Fei had won. As for his last few words, Long Fei understood it very well, as his current cultivation could not make Elder Swordsman feel at ease. However, he was not worried at all, thinking that he would become stronger. He would get the Elder Swordsman to bet everything on him. Elder Swordsman retracted all of his sharp aura and said, "What do you want to do? If we were to kill descendant of God's tribe here, and if God's tribe finds out about this matter, East Imperial City will definitely raze this place to the ground, and even more people will die." Long Fei said, "Then let him die somewhere else." Elder Swordsman was startled. "You have a way." The corner of Long Fei's mouth hooked up, and he said, "Heh." Elder Swordsman said, "Brat, I am not afraid, I am afraid that my own death isn't worth it." If I die because of a mere descendant of God's tribe, then there is no meaning in living for so many years. Actually, the elder swordsman was also waiting. He was waiting for someone to rebel against the God's tribe and form a strong alliance. However, after waiting so many years, he still hadn't seen anyone but the God's tribe, and it had instead become stronger and stronger. When Emperor Xian controls the power of the ancient inheritance, no one can go against the number one powerhouse. His heart grew colder and colder. Long Fei nodded and said, I know how to do it. Don't worry. Descendant of God's tribe cannot die in anyone's hands, but will he be able to die at the hands of the ancient monster? The corner of Long Fei's mouth curled up as he looked at the cold wind above the city walls and muttered, I'll let this year's midwinter come even earlier. Chapter 2904, I don't allow such an awesome person to exist. Chapter 2904, I don't allow such an awesome person to exist late at night. With just you. Su Wantu, you think you're qualified to fight against me? Ha ha ha. You overestimate yourself, Godchild let out a disdainful sneer, stepping on the dying Su Wantu. Just recently. There had been a huge battle before, but it couldn't really be called a huge battle because the battle had lasted for less than 3 minutes. During that 3 minutes, the number one powerhouse disciple, Su Wantu, had been ruthlessly ravaged. It could be said that he had no way to counter. They were both in the royal realm, but the strength of the Godchild was much stronger than Su Wantu. Su Wantu said solemnly, Godchild, please let my daughter go. Let your daughter go? The corners of Godchild's lips curled up as he coldly laughed, ha ha ha. Don't worry, if I don't let her die, she definitely won't die. None of the women I fancy can escape. If they can, then they will die. Su Wantu's voice trembled, and said, let her go, she's still a child, I'm begging you. I can give you everything I have. Please let her go. As he thought about Susu's painful and struggling appearance, Su Wantu's heart started to feel unspeakably uncomfortable. He blamed himself for his decision. He never thought that he would become like this, never thought that the Godchild would be such a person that would not let go. Moreover, he also thought that the reason the East Imperial City turned out like this was definitely because the Son of Heaven was behind it. However, everything was known too late. Godchild stared at Su Wantu and said, I can let her go, but swallow this pill. He took out a purple pill. It was clear from one look that this pill was not a normal pill. Su Wantu frowned. The Son of Heaven sneered, swallow it. As long as you swallow it, I will consider letting your daughter go. Su Wantu hesitated for half a second, picked up the pill and said, all right, I hope you keep your promise. He put it into his mouth and swallowed it. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The Son of Heaven immediately grew bigger, looked at Su Wantu who was slowly standing up, and slapped him. Pa. Immediately. Su Wantu fell to the ground in a flash, blood flowing from the corner of his mouth. The Son of Heaven shouted, who are you? Bargain with me? Are you qualified? You want me to let your daughter go? Humph. I still haven't settled the score with you for what happened tonight. Su Wantu's eyes darkened and he said angrily, Godchild, you cannot go back on your words. Ha ha. Going back on your word? It depends on who. Do I need to keep my promise, you piece of trash? If it weren't for the fact that you are a royal realm which is still of some use to me, do you think you would still be standing in front of me and talk to me? If it were not for the fact that the people from the Donghuang College did not use the spirit gathering pill, causing him to feel a little uneasy, he would not have needed to spare Su Wantu's life. He just found out. None of the disciples of the Donghuang College took a spirit gathering pill. Not only that, there were even people in Donghuang College who were secretly researching on the antidote for the spirit gathering pill. The rage in Su Wantu's heart churned, and once again erupted. He had already made all the preparations, including his death, for his daughter. In this instant, he wanted to die with the Son of Heaven. However, just as his strength was surging, his body suddenly sank, and his head seemed about to split open. Ah! He couldn't help but scream in pain. The Son of Heaven sneered and said, satisfying? You want to die with me? Old thing, why don't you take a piss and look at yourself? Do you really think I will marry your daughter? Do you think your Su family is worthy? Who am I? I am the descendant of God's tribe. Is a mere daughter of a family fit to marry me? Humph. If it wasn't for the fact that your daughter is pretty, I wouldn't even look at her. Of course, your daughter isn't bad at all. I'll play for a few more days, ha ha ha. The Son of Heaven sneered. Human, there are so many weak points, it's really not suitable for a race like this to stay in the universal realm. Too weak, Su Wantu roared in his heart. He was doing his best to resist. But, in his mind, his consciousness seemed to be like a virus that was madly invading his mind, gradually losing itself. In the end, his eyes slowly became calm. He closed his eyes for a moment, then suddenly opened them, and they turned purple. The Son of Heaven smiled slightly and said, Elder Hua, the new medicine that I've concocted this time is really quite good. In the darkness, Hua Hong walked out, and then another old man walked out. Hua Hong said, this is because the ingredients provided by young master are good, otherwise, we would not be able to refine a person capable of controlling the royal realm. Ha ha ha. Now that we have an emperor slave, taking down the East Imperial City will be a piece of cake. The Son of Heaven laughed. After I cultivate and fuse the evil powder in the East Imperial City's warriors' bodies, I will be able to break through quickly. Maybe I can even step into the Emperor realm. Young Master is mighty. Young Master is mighty. Young Master is mighty. Hua Hong and the rest quickly replied. The Son of Heaven looked up at the sky and muttered, God's tribe palace, I will definitely step onto the shrine. Definitely. Then, the Son of Heaven looked at Su Wantu and said, go and exterminate the Dean of Donghuang College for me. Also, investigate who is developing the antidote for the spirit gathering pill for me. I won't allow such an awesome person to exist. Su Wantu nodded heavily, and said, understood, Master. At this moment, it was as if some command was injected into Su Wantu's mind. Without any hesitation, he jumped into the darkness, heading straight for Donghuang College. And then, Tianzi looked at Hua Hong and said, there are 10 great beauties in East Imperial City. Other than the one in the Su family, there's also another one called the Blue Demoness. Have you found her yet? Hua Hong said, the location has already been determined. The Son of Heaven smiled evilly, very good, bring her to me tomorrow. Hua Hong said, understood. Right. Young noble, you have a plan for the matter regarding Violet Gold Godguard's commander, General Tianwu. The Son of Heaven's eyes lit up. He immediately became excited and asked, did you find its corpse? Hua Hong said, no, but I found him, the person who merged with the ancient inheritance in General Tianwu's body. As expected, a bright light flashed in the Son of Heaven's eyes, his blood boiling with ecstasy as he asked, are you sure it's the power of the ancient inheritance? Hua Hong said, according to the hint you gave us, he should be able to confirm that he is a general-level warrior who used that power to instantly kill the powerhouse of the senior realm. The light in the Son of Heaven's eyes became even brighter. He said, then we can't be wrong. Where is he now? Get him here immediately. Hua Hong said, still checking. The Son of Heaven's gaze darkened, and said, you must catch him. With this power of the ancient inheritance, I can quickly step into shrine. Ha ha ha. My time is coming. Chapter 2905 Demon Wolves and Frost Dragons. Chapter 2905 Demon Wolves and Frost Dragons Night Valley. Long Fei's breathing became a little hurried. Using Green Dragon battle suits to travel was so extravagant. However, Long Fei had no choice but to do this, otherwise he would not be able to catch up to the Night Valley. Yi Mai and the other 2 sisters quickly nodded and said, okay, we'll do it right now. Long Fei replied, it's been hard on you. The elder sister said, Night King does not need to be courteous to us. We are your Night Empress, and we will do our best to deal with you. We will immediately rush to the extreme regions. All right. You must be careful. Long Fei reminded. Don't worry, the armor you gave us is enough to protect our lives. The little sister giggled. Long Fei said, also, go inform the Queen of Ghastly Cave. The elder sister said, all right, I will arrange for people to go there immediately. Long Fei said, once the ancient monster arrives, the 2 forces in the wormhole and the ice plains will definitely participate. At that time, you all. A Night Valley elder said, Night King, you don't have to worry. Without your order, we would never have participated in this invasion, not to mention the wormhole and the ice plains. Yes. You are the Night King, and your words are orders. Forget about not invading the East Imperial City. Even if we have to go against the wormhole, the ice plains are still your problem. You're right. Wormhole, what the heck is the ice plains? I've long disliked them. Big bugs and ice demons. Now, Long Fei held a very high position in the Night Valley clan. They had also placed Long Fei in front of their Night King. Long Fei said, "Thank you everyone." It had to be said that to save East Imperial City this time around, to be able to give up their hatred from the past was truly too difficult. Long Fei was grateful from the bottom of his heart. Right. What exactly is the ancient monster of the Extreme Lands? Long Fei couldn't help but ask. He really wanted to know what rank an ancient monster was, at that time. Don't tell me we're not going to kill the boss. It doesn't exist. If they wanted to kill the descendant of God's tribe, the ancient monster would not let them off. If the insect cave or the demon beast from the ice plains came, they would still kill them. This was a great opportunity for him to gain experience and go on a rampage. An old man said lightly, "We have never met either. It's also a legend left behind 100 years ago, that there are two ancient monsters under the polar regions. They say it's a demon wolf from ancient times, and a frost dragon. But what exactly is it? No one knows. After all, they have never appeared before. This year, there were rumors that a fissure was formed in the extreme regions that said they were going to break through the extreme regions." Long Fei secretly thought, "Wolf, dragon?" An image appeared in his mind, a white wolf, a giant western dragon. Strange. Long Fei shook his head, and muttered, "Why is there a scene in my mind?" Without thinking too much, Long Fei once again said, "The three of you must be careful when you head to the extreme regions. If you can't wake them up, forget about it, I'm thinking of other ways." Big Sis said, "Yes." Wait. Long Fei thought about what happened in the Zhenwu continent. Any demon beast that smelled his blood essence became extremely excited, and the idea moved, condensing a few drops of blood essence and said, "Bring along my blood. If you can't wake them up, sprinkle my blood onto them, ancient monster cannot be missed." Although it was on Zhenwu continent, he did not know if his blood essence would still be useful on Universal Realm, so he decided to give it a try. "I hope it works." Long Fei secretly thought. The setup was complete. Long Fei did not stay any longer, and once again rushed towards East Imperial City at full speed. He had to hurry to East Imperial City before daybreak. The warriors in the East Imperial City were about to lose their self-control, and every one of their pubes were filled with evil powder, ready to be harvested at any time. Once the harvest was completed, all that Long Fei had done would be in vain. Huff, huff, huff. Hoo. The green dragon battlesuits will be able to hold on for a bit longer. This was his last set of green dragon battlesuits. Long Fei ran out of the Night Valley. Outside the Night Valley, the elder swordsman waited quietly. Looking at Long Fei, she slowly exhaled and said, "Wanting to save someone even though you are acting this way, Aya." Long Fei said, "Things are done by the people, some things must be done by the people. Several tens of millions of warriors, they can't just stand by and watch as the person dies, right?" Elder swordsman looked at Long Fei and muttered, "Can you save him?" Long Fei laughed and said, "Aren't you the elder here? I'm too lazy to argue with you. Come up." With a light sound, the idea moved, and the 7-foot-long blade immediately transformed into a flying sword. Elder swordsman grabbed Long Fei's arm. The flying sword moved. Buzz. The sound of a sword resonating was followed by the sound of a sword flying through the clouds. Its speed was comparable to a flying shuttle and was abnormally fast. Long Fei said enviously, "Elder swordsman, you couldn't have been fairy sword sect before, right?" Elder swordsman was startled. "You know about it again?" Long Fei said, "This is a flying sword, I'm afraid only the fairy sword sect would use it to fly." The elder swordsman was silent for a while. Fairy sword sect. There was a trace of bitterness in elder swordsman's eyes as he muttered to himself, "Fairy sword sect. It's long since gone, sigh. It's all my fault. If he did not obtain the power of an ancient inheritance, his sect would not have been annihilated. His clan would not be annihilated. The immortal sword sect of Universal Realm was the same. It could be said. In one night, God's tribe made the fairy sword sect disappear from the Universal Realm, and from then on, no one cultivated the immortal sword anymore. There was no longer a sect like fairy sword sect. The former hegemon had vanished like smoke in thin air. Early morning. The cold wind was bone-piercing. Even after a night of searching, he still could not find Long Fei. I still haven't found it. Search again. Even if we have to dig 3 feet into the ground, we have to find him. The Son of Heaven said in a deep voice. He had come to the East Imperial City just for the Violet Gold Godguard to take control of the ancient inheritance on Tian Wu's body. He knew. Even if Tian Wu died, the ancient inheritance would not disappear. It would either remain in his body, or be stolen away. It was impossible to disappear. Huahong said, "Young master, what if we can't find him? Do you want to reap them first? It's time for the best harvest." The Son of Heaven's eyes narrowed. Where's that trash Su Wan to? He still hasn't dealt with the Dean of Donghuang College in one night? Huahong said, "He's not back yet." The Son of Heaven coldly snorted, "Trash is trash, the #1 powerhouse, Dogsha *T. No use at all. Forget it." The Son of Heaven looked at the gradually brightening sky and said, "Collect and search for people first. Even if I have to kill all the people in East Imperial City, I must find him." Huahong's gaze turned cold, revealing a sinister gaze, and said, "Young noble, why not let those puppets kill people first? If you kill everyone in East Imperial City, you will naturally be able to find the person you are looking for." The Son of Heaven's eyes flashed up with a bright light. He smiled and said, "Good idea." Joy appeared in Huahong's eyes. The Son of Heaven said, "Go, make the East Imperial City chaotic, hey." Chapter 2906 Riots. Chapter 2906 Riots. Boom. Boom. Along the streets, outside the houses, big families, small families, the entire East Imperial City exploded after a strange flute sound. The eyes of those warriors whose bones were as thin as firewood suddenly changed. They pounced on the crowd and started to fight crazily as if they were going through a mutation. "Ah! Ah! Chen-san, it's me, I'm your wife, you, Daddy, it's me. Bastard, you bastard, could it be that even your grandfather? Chaos, kill, die." The entire East Imperial City was in chaos, massacres were everywhere, and deaths were everywhere. Those warriors who took the spirit-gathering pills were like crazy people. They were completely out of their control and could rush to that place without any problems. No matter if they were old or young, no matter what their relationship was, they had a command in their heads. Kill. Furthermore, they themselves were completely unaware of the pain, as if they were numb to it. Donghuang College. Within the academy, thousands of disciples were guarding the entrance. All of them held their weapons tightly and solemnly. Waves and waves of screams of pain rang out from outside the academy's gates. These screams made their hearts tremble slightly. Just what kind of monsters were they? Even the acute winter demon beast were not like this before when they entered the group. The academy elder's expression was also tight as he encouraged them, "Everyone, calm down. Don't panic. Do you understand?" An elder rushed to Dean of Donghuang College, "Principal, it has begun." Dean of Donghuang College's face turned pale, he nodded his head and asked, "Is Long Fei back yet?" Blood was still trickling from the corner of his mouth. It was obvious that he had just been severely injured. Qian Yang replied, "Not yet, he never appeared again since he left his residence last night. I'm worried. Will he?" Without waiting for Qian Yang to finish speaking, Fu Shishan immediately said, "Long Fei is definitely not that kind of person." Wu Li also said, "Brother Long is indeed not that kind of person. If he wanted to run, he would have already done so. Why stay behind to concoct the antidote for the spirit-gathering pill?" A student elder said slightly, "How do you know if he has other intentions or not? Maybe he is in cahoots with the pill refiners of the spirit-gathering pill evil sect?" "You're right. Just based on a muggle from a lower plane. You all believe it, But I don't believe it. What can a general-level warrior do? Save the entire East Imperial City? No conditions. Even he himself wouldn't believe it, right? Exactly. Lord Dean, we can't trust him too much. Fu Shishan panicked and immediately roared, "What nonsense are you all spouting? Do you know what Long Fei paid to save the East Imperial City? Do you know how he's been these days?" An elder snorted, "Maybe he is acting? For everyone to see. How else could I deceive you? At this time, the East Imperial City is already in chaos, and they still haven't appeared. Does this mean that there isn't anything special?" A few elders said in a mocking tone. They did not believe in Long Fei. Qian Yang slightly said, "Long Fei isn't that kind of person, he must have met with some sort of emergency." Dean of Donghuang College said, "Wait a little more." He could tell that Long Fei really wanted to save tens of millions of warriors, but he was worried about whether or not Long Fei would come back in time. If that was the case, the East Imperial City would not be able to withstand it. The fate of East Imperial City was currently in Long Fei's hands. Everyone was extremely anxious. Heavens, save us. Woo woo woo. Why? Why is that? Oh my God, why are you doing this to the East Imperial City? Miserable wails rang out. Old people, women, and children didn't even have the strength to fight back when facing a powerful martial artist. They were like cabbages cut into two halves. The East Imperial City was lit up in all directions. Su clan. Ah. Ah. Su suddenly woke up from the pain, his face was extremely pale, his eyes looked like they were about to pop out. Ah. Ah. His entire being seemed to have gone crazy. Several Su family elders tried to use the cure, but it was useless. Their cure was like a clay ox entering the sea, disappearing without a trace in an instant without any effect. Suddenly, Su jumped down from the bed, with a twist of his eyes, he looked like a different person, his figure moved, and directly broke through the window and flew out. Su. Miss. Hurry up and chase him. It was also at this time. One of the guards hurried over, "Elder, the city lord's gate is broken. Many people have already rushed in. Right now, what should we do?" It couldn't be stopped. It could be said that no family could withstand it. This was because these puppets were not afraid of death, not afraid of pain. They were like the zombie in the movies from their past lives, with only one command in their minds: kill. The Su clan elder's face sank. Su escaped, and the Su family fell. Patriarch Su Wantu had gone missing, and the Su family was in a mess. Suddenly, an elder said, "The students of Donghuang College did not take any spirit-gathering pills to go to Donghuang College. Not just the Su clan. Many first-rate families in East Imperial City knew that Donghuang College was the only place that didn't use the spirit-gathering pellets, and it was probably the only safe place. Adding the dean of Donghuang College's royal realm, he would definitely be able to block it." Suddenly, many families were retreating towards the Donghuang College. From a high vantage point, he overlooked East Imperial City. Looking at the rivers of blood and the wailing cries coming from all directions, the Son of Heaven's eyes slightly narrowed, his face was filled with intoxication. To him, this was like an incomparably wonderful concert. Every scream was an orgasm. This made him extremely happy. Ha ha ha. Kill, kill, kill to your heart's content. The Son of Heaven laughed excitedly and said, "With your deaths, I will bring glory to you. You should feel the supreme glory, ha ha ha." Hua Hong stood by his side, looked at the flow of people heading towards the city, and said, "Sir, they are all rushing to the Donghuang College, and just now they have received news that that piece of trash, Su Wantu, has been suppressed by the Dean of Donghuang College. However, Dean of Donghuang College has also been severely injured. In the entire East Imperial City, there is no one who can match up to young master anymore." The corner of the Son of Heaven's mouth curled up as he laughed out loud. Ha ha ha. Scanning across half of East Imperial City, the Son of Heaven lightly said, "I like the feeling of dominating the world. Donghuang College? Heh heh. Kill them all." Hua Hong said excitedly, "Understood." The flute moved again, and the flute music sounded once again. It floated out and all the warriors rushed towards Donghuang College. In another place, Polar region. The three my sisters stood at the edge of the crevice. Big sister took out the blood essence that Long Fei had given her and slowly poured it into the crevice. Chapter 2907 Ancient Monster Awakening. Chapter 2907 Ancient Monster Awakening. Big sister, is Night King's blood essence really useful? It's not time yet. Will the ancient monster really wake up? We've already tried all kinds of methods. This is the final method. If it doesn't work, then I think. Big sis Yi Mai looked at the cracks that were emitting hot air. The other two sisters shivered. At this moment, the polar abyss. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A series of explosions continuously sounded out from the abyss. The originally vast and boundless plain suddenly began to melt before falling down. It was as though it was breathing, going up and down. The three sisters quickly retreated. Seeing the sudden change, the three of them were slightly happy. It seems like the Night King's blood essence can really stimulate them. A fiery aura was emanating from the crevice. The entire polar region started to shake. It was as if an earthquake was occurring. Cracks continued to appear and spread. Boom, boom, boom. The whole scene was abnormally terrifying. At the same time, the four forces, Wormhole, Icefield, Night Valley, and Ghost Cave quickly sensed the change in the extreme. The ancient monster is about to awaken. It's about to awaken. Ha ha ha. Human, go to hell. Ha ha ha. This year's midwinter is East Imperial City's doomsday, ha ha ha. With the impact from the ancient monster, who would be able to withstand it? Prepare to head to East Imperial City. This time, I will make the blood of East Imperial City flow like rivers. In the wormhole, the giant demons on the icy plains began to move. This time it was different than before. They had come with their full strength. When the ancient monster awakened, they were fearless. The Night Valley Elder also frowned. The ancient monster is about to wake up. It seems like Night Empress has succeeded. Night Valley, warrior, listen up. Everyone, hurry to East Imperial City. Remember, no one is allowed to move or attack without my order. Night Valley, who had already been preparing for a long time, had made all the necessary preparations. They also knew that Long Fei was a human, but they knew even more clearly that Long Fei was their Night King. Ghost Cave. The corner of Queen of Blood Moon's mouth raised slightly as he muttered, "Looks like the ancient monster is awake. Lord Ghost King, what should we do now?" The Queen of Blood Moon smiled slightly. "Cooperate fully with Long Fei, 3,000 ghost generals listen up, send troops to East Imperial City." The entire western regions was in an uproar. Not only the East Imperial City, even the Factory sect was shocked. What the hell is East Imperial City doing? It's still not winter yet. Why are the western regions so chaotic, and why are there giant demons appearing from the depths of the earth? Who knows? Why do we care so much? The people of the East Imperial City are the descendants of a group of criminals. Compared to the other regions, their talent, blood vein, and potential are the weakest, and looking at the East Imperial City, it seems like a white horse has appeared to scout Yuan Tianwang. You're right, Chem. At this moment, a white figure flashed out from the depths of Factory sect. His figure that was as white as snow flashed out in a flash. An elder of the Factory sect immediately replied, "Yuan Tianwang. He's from East Imperial City, looks like he wants to go back and save them. What can he do?" For the past few years, Yuan Tianwang did not make any progress at all, and did not even manage to step into the Emperor realm. He had completely wasted the ranking of exploring flowers, probably because he came from the East Imperial City, and is the descendant of a sinner. The shadow was like lightning, flashing with a silver light. Yuan Tianwang did not care about what others said. Every single year during the early winter, he would ask Factory sect for a request to protect the East Imperial City, and the Factory sect would indeed send someone to protect the East Imperial City during the early winter. However, before winter arrived this year, no matter how much Yuan Tianwang begged him to do, it was useless. No one paid any attention to him. This was also because for the past 5 years, his cultivation had never been able to step into the Emperor realm. The resources given to him by the factory sect were getting fewer and fewer. He also felt a sense of powerlessness, but he had never forgotten to nurture his East Imperial City and East Imperial City. If East Imperial City did not help when he was in trouble, he would go alone. Huff, huff, huff. In the extreme regions, the ground still moved as if it was breathing. The flames in the fissure grew increasingly intense. The three sisters did not leave. They had always been paying attention to the changes that occurred under the crevice. They would have to wait for the ancient monster to rush out before they could relax. Deep underground. Is it the boss blood essence? It can't be wrong, after so many years, finally. I can finally feel boss's aura again. I feel like crying. 100 years. It's been 100 years. I thought that I would sleep here forever, and I thought that I would never see boss again. Who would have thought? Ha ha ha. He smiled excitedly. There were tears in his eyes. Bring it on. Brother Bai, it's time for us to go on stage. Heh heh. Then let's break through this place together and let this world tremble once again for the boss. As soon as he finished speaking. Hualala. The flame inside the crack was like a pillar as it crazily spewed out. Instantly, the earth split open as a surge of power shot up into the sky from the depths of the earth. Roar. With a dragon's roar, brilliant blue rays of light, like ice crystals, shot up into the sky. An incomparably huge dragon rushed out of the ground as it spewed out flames from its mouth, as if it was going to burn through the sky. Frost dragon. But the ice crystal blue body had many flame patterns on it. Ice and fire. The guy that Long Fei had brought out from the demon land. At this moment. Buzz. A gigantic spear suddenly burst out from the depths of the earth, flying straight up into the skies before landing heavily on the ground. At the same time, a white silhouette flashed. Roar. The giant wolf howled at the moon. The strength stripes rippled. Next. He landed beside the giant spear and grabbed the giant spear on his shoulder. All of the white fur on his body exploded like steel needles. It turned into the appearance of a werewolf. It looked as cruel as it could get. The colossal dragon spiraled. The white wolf roared. All the demon beast in the depths of the western regions let out a low roar. The entire western regions was in an even greater turmoil. The three sisters were scared silly by what had just happened. So much so that they forgot to run. The white wolf sniffed lightly and its pupils suddenly shrank. In an instant, a white shadow flashed past and the giant spear in its hand suddenly pointed straight at the three Yimai sisters. Fast. It was shockingly fast. The white wolf said solemnly, "Who poured the blood essence down just now?" Big sis Yimai said, It's me, it has nothing to do with them." Boom. Frost dragons descended, stared at the three night devil sisters, and then said softly, "Xiao Bai, they have the aura of a boss. Could it be that they are?" Xiao Bai also noticed it, and immediately put away his spear, revealing a fawning look. She said, "Sister-in-law." Table of contents. Table of contents. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The Son of Heaven looked at the tens of millions of warriors rushing towards him one after another. The disciples in Donghuang College were all injured, and he couldn't help but burst out laughing. So what if I didn't consume the spirit-gathering pellets? We still have to die. Donghuang College? TCH. He can't even withstand a single blow. Even if the Donghuang College had 100 emperors and powerhouses, they would still not be able to withstand the combined attacks of tens of millions of warriors. Moreover, these martial artists didn't care about their lives. They could only give orders. The entrance to the Donghuang College was broken through, but the students of the Donghuang College could not resist at all, and were crazily crushed. The entire East Imperial City had lost all ability to fight. No one was his match anymore. The Son of Heaven sneered, "Invincible is so lonely." All right, tell them to stop. The most important reason for his visit this time was to obtain the power of the ancient inheritance. This was the fastest path he could take on the God's Tribe Palace. Hua Hong blew the flute, and in the blink of an eye, all of the warriors stopped their attacks. The Son of Heaven moved in the air and quickly landed on the Donghuang College. He said coldly, "How is it?" That's great, isn't it? Ha ha ha. Do you want to continue? He was extremely pleased with himself. It was all in his hands. He liked to see those weak, depressed faces. The crowd looked at the Son of Heaven, their eyes burning with rage. The Son of Heaven did not care. The angrier the others were, the more excited he got. You don't like me? Ha ha ha. Come on, come and kill me. A disciple suddenly moved and used all his strength to send out a punch. The dean of Donghuang College had no time to stop him. At this moment, the Son of Heaven stood still on the spot. His eyes turned cold, and he smiled disdainfully. Is trash like you worthy of fighting in front of me? You're courting death. As soon as he finished speaking, bam! The black shadow behind the Son of Heaven moved, throwing out a palm attack. It directly blew that disciple into pieces, and blood splattered all over the ground. The Son of Heaven disdained, trash. The black shadow descended and silently stood behind the Son of Heaven. Dean of Donghuang College's eyes moved, royal realm. Hua Hong walked forward, and said with a heavy voice, "Why aren't you kneeling down when you see Godchild? Kneel." Hua Hong's voice fell. The million puppets inside Donghuang College shouted in unison, "Kneel." The sound of his voice shook the sky, and the scene was extremely cool. Slamming down onto every single person of Donghuang College, their hearts sank slightly. Dean of Donghuang College said in a deep voice, "No one in Universal Realm would dare call themselves Tian, unless they are a god's tribe." The Son of Heaven laughed, "You are right, I am the descendant of God's tribe." As soon as he finished speaking, the entire audience shook. The space between Dean of Donghuang College's eyebrows tightened. An elder of the Su family said softly, "He is indeed a descendant of God's tribe." God's tribe. He is God's tribe. Is it really the God's tribe? Why is it like this? Isn't the God's tribe supposed to be protecting us? Everyone was terrified. In their hearts, the God's tribe was unreachable, and was the God of Universal Realm. Shouldn't God protect the world? Why kill? Right now, the East Imperial City was in chaos. This was all caused by him alone. The Son of Heaven sneered, "God's tribe is supposed to protect Universal Realm, but you all have to have the right to be protected. Trash like you all aren't even worthy of being protected. Trash should just disappear." Ha ha ha. The Son of Heaven smiled coldly. Dean of Donghuang College said solemnly, "What exactly do you want? Since the East Imperial City has become like that, what is your goal?" The Son of Heaven said, "The goal is very simple. Who fused with the power of the ancient inheritance that is commanded by the violet gold godguard? Hand him over, I can let East Imperial City go. It itself is the power of my God's tribe. You trash are not worthy to possess it." As soon as he finished speaking, everyone was slightly startled. To many people, they simply did not know what the power of the ancient inheritance was. However, for some people, their eyes suddenly shook. Ancient inheritance, strength. The strongest power in this world. Born from the ancient world? How did it appear here? I've never seen one before. It was too shocking. Dean of Donghuang College said, "There is simply no such thing as the power of the ancient inheritance in this place." No. Heh. The corners of Godchild's mouth curled up as he smiled sinisterly. In that instant, the black shadow beside him moved, grabbing a student from Donghuang College. His right hand moved, grabbing the student's hair bun, directly pulling it. Crack. The whole head was torn off. Godchild laughed faintly. "Is there one now?" "Not yet." Without waiting for Dean of Donghuang College to speak, the black-clothed disciple moved again. Another disciple's head was pulled off as blood wildly sprayed. It was a tragic sight. The Dean of Donghuang College's pupils tightened as he said solemnly, "Godchild, the power of the ancient inheritance that you mentioned does not exist here. If there is, do you think you would be allowed to do whatever you want?" The Son of Heaven's eyes narrowed, and he said, "You won't cry until you see the coffin, will you? Kill until they say it." This power of the ancient inheritance is within the East Imperial City. If anyone says it, they will be able to live. If you don't want to say it. Heh. The shadow moved again. Bang, bang, bang. Several disciples were directly beheaded. This speed, this strength, it was completely unstoppable. Many people turned pale and trembled in fear. But no one said, because they did not even know what the power of the ancient inheritance was. In just half a minute, more than a dozen disciples were killed. Dean of Donghuang College was in incomparable pain as he directly knelt on the ground and said, "Godchild, we really don't know, I beg you, don't kill again, they are just a group of children, they don't know anything, I beg of you." The Son of Heaven walked forward, looked at Dean of Donghuang College kneeling on the ground, laughed coldly and stepped on his shoulder, pressing his head down hard, then said playfully, "Who the hell do you think you are? You don't even have the qualifications to beg me, do you understand? Speak. Who exactly is the source of the ancient inheritance's power?" The Son of Heaven let out a loud roar. At this moment, Hua Hong suddenly saw Fu Shishan, and said in a low voice, "Young noble, that brat and that woman's relationship is not shallow." The Son of Heaven raised his eyes, stared at Fu Shishan, and smiled. "You? Come here." Fu Shishan's body trembled slightly, his fists secretly clenched. This time an elder of business alliance of Fu family gave her a storage ring, and said, "There is something inside that Long Fei gave you." Fu Shishan walked forward. The Son of Heaven grabbed her by the hair and asked, "Where did that boy go? Speak." Fu Shishan's eyes stared at the Son of Heaven, the idea moved, and immediately donned phoenix cloth's clothes. Boom! A strong defensive power shot out, directly pushing away the Son of Heaven. The Son of Heaven's eyes were filled with anger. With such clothes on his body, he raged, "Kill him." It was also at this moment. In the distance, atop the 30,000-foot wall, Long Fei roared out, "If the thing you want is here, come fuck me." Chapter 2909, What Plane Is This? Chapter 2909, What Plane Is This? He was still too late. Even with the elder swordsman's flying sword, it was still too late. When Long Fei stood on the city wall and saw the chaos within the city, his heart immediately tightened. Seeing that the Donghuang College was packed full of people, Long Fei became even more worried. Immediately, Long Fei screamed at the top of his lungs, "The thing that you want is in this daddy's hands, come and fuck this daddy." As soon as he finished speaking, the Son of Heaven suddenly turned, and stared straight at Long Fei who was on the city wall far away, a light shining in his eyes. Fu Shishan's eyes moved, and immediately said, "Long Fei." Dean of Donghuang College was also shocked. Long Fei, Qian Yang and Wu Li were also equally shocked, their faces full of shock. "It's really, really back." They thought that Long Fei had slipped away and would not come back at all. Because coming back to this scene in East Imperial City was equivalent to suicide. As long as there was nothing wrong with their brains, no one would come back. But Long Fei returned. Hua Hong whispered into the ear of the Son of Heaven, "Sir, it's him." Immediately, a sharp light flashed in the Son of Heaven's eyes, and he became excited. The anger in his heart was swept away, and he smiled sinisterly. "Hey, they are here to die. Ha ha ha." In the blink of an eye, the Son of Heaven looked at Hua Hong and said, "Let that trash know the power of our puppet army and piss his pants in fear." Hua Hong laughed sinisterly, and picked up his flute to lightly play with it. In an instant, those warriors who consumed the spirit-gathering pellets became even more deranged. Each and every one of them were like a ferocious beast rushing towards Long Fei, wishing that they could tear him to shreds. Rumble! 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 Tens of millions of cultivators surged forward like a tidal wave. The scene was extremely shocking. Fu Shishan shouted anxiously, "Long Fei, run." The corner of the Son of Heaven's mouth curled up as he sneered and said, "Fleeing? Would he be able to escape? You think you can run after stealing my God's tribe's things? Mph, it's better not to have this dream." He did not place Long Fei in his eyes. He did not even put the entire East Imperial City in his eyes. Dean of Donghuang College was also worried for Long Fei. Long Fei was very special. He was someone the Xiao Yarrow city wanted. However, Mu clan and God's tribe were mortal enemies, so this relationship couldn't be revealed. However, if Long Fei got into trouble, even if the Son of Heaven didn't make a move on him, the Mu clan wouldn't let him off either. Dean of Donghuang College thought, Could it be that East Imperial City will not escape this calamity? The crowd surged. One by one, they executed their strongest techniques, flying through the sky and flying through the ground, frantically rushing towards Long Fei. Long Fei stood on the city wall with his fists clenched tightly, feeling nervous in his heart. If the pill he refined had no effect, then he might die here. After all, tens of millions of warriors were like living corpses, completely not caring about their lives. Even the Emperor powerhouse would be exhausted to death, unable to withstand it at all. In the dark, Elder Swordsman said lightly, "It's still not too late for you to escape. As long as we leave the city, no one can catch up." Long Fei shook his head and said, "Since I am here, I will not run, and I do not have the word flee in my dictionary, not to mention a mere descendant of God's tribe. Even if the King Emperor Xian were to come, I will not run." Elder Swordsman said indifferently, "Your courage is commendable, but generally, these kinds of people die early. Kid, since you're not running away, then I'll tell you clearly. Once a battle occurs, I definitely won't interfere. You can only rely on yourself." He didn't want to expose himself. He did not place too many bets on Long Fei, so he could not reveal himself because of Long Fei. Long Fei also knew in his heart, "Elder Swordsman, if I can endure this, can you promise me one thing?" Elder Swordsman said, "Go ahead." Long Fei said, "Teach me how to cultivate the power of ancient inheritance." Elder Swordsman trembled slightly, looked at Long Fei and said, "Let's talk after you endure this time." Heh. Long Fei laughed excitedly, and said, "Then it's a promise. The power of the ancient inheritance, the strongest power in the universal realm." However, Long Fei did not know how to cultivate, he only knew how to hunt demon beast bosses to level up, but not every boss could help him increase his ancient inheritance's power. He needed to train on his own. The Mahayana realm of the killing sword. The realm of Elder Swordsman's ancient sword spiritual power. These were all the power of the ancient inheritance, and were all extremely powerful. As for Long Fei, he had 4 streams of ancient inheritance power. The power of the black and white under the dragon-shaped mark, the power of the super force of Ming clan passed down in the Ming clan, the decaying power, and then the killing sword. He had divine power, but he didn't know how to use it. This was very infuriating. He needed a mentor. He needed to cultivate to increase his ancient inheritance's power, not solely by killing bosses. What was the power of the ancient inheritance on the body of the Elder Swordsman? Long Fei didn't know. However, he knew that the power of the ancient inheritance on Elder Swordsman must be extremely strong. Huff. Long Fei let out a heavy breath, looked at the puppets that were getting closer and closer, the corners of his mouth curled up, and he said slightly, "Come, all of you come." Heh. While they were talking, Long Fei moved his body and took out the super huge pellet from the space ring. It looked like a huge iron ball. What did he take out a steel ball for? Could it be his weapon? Damn, is this kid sick? Is this metal ball used as a weapon? What's the use of this? If he kills a disciple of my Cheng family, I will never forgive him. Yes. The same goes for my Zhu family. Our Song family is the same. Fu Shishan's gaze tightened, he held his breath, and did not speak. Chen Yang was the same. Dean of Donghuang College also stared at the huge metal ball with a pair of downcast eyes, his heart also starting to worry. Can it be effective? Bam! 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 There were already people rushing up the city walls, crazily climbing up. The scene was exactly the same as what was happening in the zombie. Long Fei looked into the distance, and said with a heavy voice, "Wind." Outside the city walls, maybe it was due to Long Fei's summons, or maybe it was due to some other reason, but suddenly a gust of wind blew into the city, the cold wind pierced through the bones, the wind speed was extremely fast. Long Fei put down the huge pill and punched with his fist. Crack. The pill shattered. Everyone was dumbfounded. What is this person doing? Holy shit, what the hell is he doing? The iron ball broke. What the F***ck are you doing? While they were still in a daze, white smoke began to drift out of the Supreme Dan beads. The white smoke blew along with the wind, blowing crazily into the city. The Son of Heaven was stunned. What kind of plane is this? Chapter 29:10 feels like the sky is about to rise. Chapter 29:10 feels like the sky is about to rise. I don't understand. So what if the iron ball broke? Moreover, Long Fei's actions were too bizarre. It could be said that no one could understand his words, and even Wu Li, Fu Shishan, and the others could be said to be puzzled. But, at this moment, the cold air carried with it a trace of a special scent, a bit pungent, making one feel evil. Hua Hong's eyes darkened, his nose twitched as he inhaled the smell of the white smoke in the air. Hua Hong rarely had such an expression. The Son of Heaven's eyes moved slightly. What's not good? Hua Hong said, the white smoke coming out from the metal ball is strange. The Son of Heaven looked into the distance and said, what's wrong? It's just a little clown. Could it be that he can come up with some tricks? Actually, Hua Hong also didn't know what was wrong. He couldn't say it, but he felt something was different. Hearing the Son of Heaven's words, Hua Hong was momentarily at a loss for words. However, his eyes were fixed on those puppets rushing towards the city wall. Boom, boom, boom. General level and spirit realm warriors were unable to climb up the walls of the city, but tens of millions of warriors had piled up their bodies and were crazily rushing towards the city wall. The city walls shook slightly. It has already been a minute. There's no response. Long Fei's heart tensed up. He was really unsure, since he had only tested it once. Maybe it was just a coincidence. Furthermore, Song Tiancheng's cultivation was so high, he was much stronger than the general origin stage martial artists. Furthermore, his poison wasn't that deep. What if this huge pellet was useless? Nothing is easy to say. However, at this point, Long Fei could only grit his teeth and wait. Boom. Rumble. The city walls lightly swayed, and the people that rushed up was getting closer and closer to Long Fei. The Son of Heaven laughed complacently. It's still too late to kneel down now. Otherwise, you won't even have the chance to kneel down. Ha ha ha. Long Fei said, I should be the one saying these words to you. You can still escape in time. If not, you won't be able to escape. The Son of Heaven snorted. Humph. A stubborn mouth. Then let's see how long you can last. The flute music from Hua Hong's mouth suddenly changed, becoming even more hurried. The puppet's eyes shone with a strange light, becoming even more berserk. Kill. Kill him. Rip him apart. A hoarse shout of kill came from his throat. Elder Swordsman let out a light breath and said lightly, Brat, you're going to lose. I already said that you won't be able to save East Imperial City. Even if you save this place, you won't be able to save yourself. Run. Only in this way will you have a chance at survival. Elder Swordsman's voice sounded once again. Now that things had gotten to this point, once those puppets charged onto the city walls, it would be impossible for them to escape. Long Fei said in a heavy voice, Elder Swordsman, you have been running away for so long and hiding for so long, aren't you tired? I will never escape. Seeing that the white smoke in the huge pellet gradually became thinner, the inulin insecticide within the pellet had already been completely used up. It could be said that the entire East Imperial City had scattered. But still no effect. Did he fail? Huff. Long Fei exhaled. So what if it failed? The idea moved. He directly took out the big butcher, and heavily carried it on his shoulder. The idea held Ake tightly, and Annie Road said with a faint voice, if I die, then all of you are done for as well. The hero seeds planted in the Hero Alliance, the seeds planted in the One Piece world will wither and die before they even sprout. You all don't want to see it either, right? If you don't want to, then come and fight with me, Long Fei said indifferently. If the antidote was useless, then the only option was to fight. He tried his best to save tens of millions of warriors, but he couldn't save them, so when facing these puppets that wanted his life, Long Fei wouldn't show any mercy. 3 minutes are up. This is the test time. Long Fei unleashed all his fighting strength, causing the big butcher on his shoulder to fall down heavily. Looking at the puppet that was about to rush over, he said, I can't save you anymore. Kill. One of the puppet warriors leapt high in the air and pounced towards Long Fei without a care in the world. Moreover, Long Fei recognized this puppet. Zhu Tian. Looking at the color of his eyes, Long Fei felt his heart tighten. Roar. Zhu Tian released a hoarse roar from his throat, as he pounced towards Long Fei with all his might. The Son of Heaven laughed complacently, ha ha ha. You overestimate yourself, even you want to fight me, a mere East Imperial city, can you beat me? Ha ha ha. He began to laugh maniacally. This was because he would soon be able to obtain the ancient inheritance from Violet Gold Godguard's heavenly martial commander. This also meant that he would be able to enter the God's tribe palace. But, at this moment, just when Zhu Tian was rushing over, his face suddenly changed. His abdomen was in intense pain, his eyes spitting out blood. With a wow sound, he spat out black foul-smelling blood. There was a dead, stiff worm in the blood. Bam! As Zhu Tian landed, he looked at Long Fei with a sweaty body, and said with rapid breathing, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." It was also at this time. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for saving Zhu Tian for obtaining experience points 1900 points, true spiritual value 100 points, universal value 0 point. A was a little stupefied when he heard this notification sound. Shouldn't killing people give you experience? You have experience in how to save people? Damn. This. Long Fei was so excited that he couldn't speak, because this wasn't a single person or two, but tens of millions of warriors. If these people had experience, then, this is F*King going to be posted. Ha ha ha. Long Fei's pupils contracted as he found it hard to believe. However, those puppets were all the same as Zhu Tian, having a sharp pain in their abdomen. It was also at this time. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for saving Chen San. You have received 1000 experience points, 100 true spiritual value, 0 universal value. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for saving Li Sai. You have gained 1000 experience points, 100 true spiritual value, and 0 universal value. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for saving Hai Shui. You have received 10 points of experience points, 1 point of true spiritual value, and 0 points of universal value. The system exploded. In that moment, Long Fei was a little worried that the server would explode, because he felt like his eardrums were about to explode. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, General level 8. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, General level 9. Biao! Completely biao. Long Fei felt like he was going to the sky. Chapter 29:11, Killing Them All. Chapter 29:11, Killing Them All F***ck. Your father is a genius. I knew it. I knew it, ha ha ha. Tens of millions of warriors can be said to be related to the life and death of East Imperial City. How could it not have special compensation? Ha ha ha. Long Fei was extremely excited. He had made the right bet. Although the system did not issue out a quest, Long Fei was vaguely aware that there must be something special inside, as if it was a hidden quest. However, even if he didn't trigger this quest, he would still gain experience. However, even if there was no reward, Long Fei would still do the same. After all, it was a human's life. His experience points soared, and in just a few minutes, he broke through 2 levels. This speed was too sharp, and he was even trying to break through to the spirit realm. Long Fei stood on top of the city wall, grinning from ear to ear. The elder swordsman in the shadows was also slightly startled and thought to himself, I really did it, this kid. He could tell, even if he failed to save these tens of millions of warriors, Long Fei would not run, he would fight them to the end. This was a huge blow to the elder swordsman. However, elder swordsman still did not come out. He knew that these puppets were indeed scary, but the most terrifying thing was not them. It was the god-child that had the status of a descendant of God's tribe. It was not difficult to kill him, but his identity would bring about an incomparable amount of trouble. He didn't want to provoke them. Even if Long Fei saved several tens of millions of practitioners, he was far from being able to place all of his bets on Long Fei, so he did not want to reveal himself. What's going on? The Son of Heaven glared at Hua Hong fiercely. Hua Hong also had a face full of astonishment, and said, No, impossible, simply impossible. There is simply no antidote for the spirit-gathering pill, even I am unable to refine it out. A mere East Imperial City simply doesn't have a alchemy master who is of a higher level than me. Even if there was, it would be impossible to manufacture the antidote in such a short amount of time. Impossible. The Son of Heaven gave a loud shout. Trash, harvest now. Quickly, quickly. Hua Hong's gaze tightened. Yes. The flute's tune sounded, wanting to break out from the puppet pubes' worms, but. However, not a single GU worm broke out from his body, and not a single one was harvested. Hua Hong's body faintly trembled as he said, young master, there's not a single one, not even one. The Son of Heaven's eyes glinted with anger, and he threw a slap across his face. Pa. Useless trash. Hua Hong's cultivation was not high. He was slapped by the Son of Heaven into the ground, his face was red and swollen, blood trickled down the corners of his mouth. He did not dare resist and immediately knelt down, saying, Sir, please spare me, young noble, please spare me. The spirit-gathering pills puppets cannot be harvested, we still have those powerhouses. Other than the spirit-gathering pills, there was another batch of evil pill that was refined. Just like the pills Susu had taken. The Son of Heaven's eyes darkened. He said, then what are you still standing there for? Hurry up and gather them here. Immediately. Hua Hong changed his flute and gently blew on it. In an instant. Ah! Ah! In the crowd, including the people from Donghuang College, there were suddenly many elderly people. The clan elders had painful expressions, as if their bodies were splitting apart. He rushed out of the crowd. Elder Wang, Elder Lin, Brother Naylan. What's wrong with you guys? Bam! Bam! The senior elders of the families all underwent a change, as if they had turned into senior zombies in an instant. He couldn't stop it at all. They quickly ran out, as if they had heard the call of a dog. Each and every one of them stood behind Hua Hong, and their eyes had turned red. They were controlled by another type of evil powder. Moreover, they don't even know when they were controlled. These people were all top-ranked powerhouse, the worst were all at the Grand Sage realm. Dean of Donghuang College frowned, and said solemnly, Godchild, East Imperial City has already been hurt by you to this extent, can't you stop? What else do you want? The Son of Heaven turned and stared at Dean of Donghuang College coldly, laughing in contempt. Stop? Ha ha ha. What do you think I'm here for? I've come to make you trash, disappear from this world. Ha ha ha. Dean of Donghuang College's eyes turned sinister, anger surging inside. The Son of Heaven showed no fear. He sneered and said, Old man, do you want to make a move on me? Come on, come and try touching me. Do you know the consequences of touching me? You dog. He cursed fiercely. His identity was descendant of God's tribe. In any place in the universal realm, whoever dared to touch the descendant of God's tribe would become the enemy of the God's tribe and the consequences would be unimaginable. God's tribe was the strongest ruler in the entire universal realm. No one could match it. Who dared to offend him? The Son of Heaven smiled coldly and said, If you don't dare to move, then go to the side for your father. Your father will come back later to take care of you trash. As soon as he finished speaking, Tianzi stared at Hua Hong and shouted, What are you still standing there for? Do you want to die? Hua Hong immediately, after a deep sound, the flute sound moved, and said, Kill him. In that instant, the 100 over powerhouses all moved at the same time and rushed out. At this moment, the walls were already filled with people. Thank you, Mr. Long, thank you, thank you, thank you. They're here, they're here. Zhu Tian replied heavily, Protect the Mr. Long, we have to kill anyone who comes, understand? Although they were controlled by the spirit-gathering pills parasite, they did not lose their consciousness. They knew that Long Fei had saved them, and now that the 100s had rushed over, including their clan's elders and even their father, they had to protect Long Fei, because Long Fei was their hope. Long Fei looked at them one by one, and simply didn't have any power. All of them had just recovered from a severe illness. Not to mention their true souls, some people couldn't even stand properly to protect him. Forget it. Long Fei had to hold on, He had to lure the Son of Heaven over, but facing the venerable powerhouse. Long Fei looked into the darkness. Elder Swordsman said lightly, "This is your problem, I will not take action." Long Fei gritted his teeth. "Fine." The Son of Heaven looked at Long Fei in the distance and said coldly, "Brat, prepare to die." Fu Shishan looked at Dean of Donghuang College. Dean of Donghuang College looked at the flute in Hua Hong's hands. Tick was the key. As long as he was able to control the flute, it would be equivalent to controlling those puppets. In an instant, Fu Shishan suddenly rushed towards the Son of Heaven, unleashing all of Phoenix Cloth's defenses. The corner of the Son of Heaven's eyes turned cold. "You're courting death." The black figure moved to intercept Fu Shishan, and at the same time, the figure of the Dean of Donghuang College disappeared as well. The Son of Heaven raised his eyebrows, took a step forward, and formed a hand, great light palm. The tyrannical force suddenly opened up, and before Dean of Donghuang College could land a palm on him, he was already heavily injured, his cultivation was restricted. Facing Tianzi, who was stronger than him, the palm directly sent him flying. At the same time, Fu Shishan was also sent flying. A waste who doesn't know his limits. The Son of Heaven disdained, and coldly ordered, "Ghost slave, kill them all for me." Chapter 29:12 Yuan Tianwang. Chapter 29:12 Yuan Tianwang. The Son of Heaven was angry. He was completely enraged. He no longer wanted to continue playing. He wanted everyone here to die. "Kill them all. Ambushed me? Humph. I will make you pay the price. Ghost slave, kill him." With the Son of Heaven's order, Ghost Slave's eyes changed. His body moved like a ghost and immediately locked onto the Dean of Donghuang College that was sent flying. Both of his hands turned into claws as the sound of roaring beasts continuously rang out in the air. Dean of Donghuang College's pupils contracted as he quickly moved to the side. Fu Shishan said loudly, "Let's go together." However, other than Fu Shishan, there was no one else as Chen Yang and Wu Li charged forward. The great masters of the Donghuang College all retreated. Not only did they not attack together, they even retreated. They had already experienced Ghost Slave's strength before. He wasn't a match at all. If he went up, he would be courting his own death. Escaping at this time was the only chance to survive. Attack together? Died. Fu Shishan said, "Now that the Dean of Donghuang College is dead, you are next. If everyone is not united, we will all be killed. Boss Wang, it's all because of your sneak attack. Otherwise, you wouldn't have ended up like this. If you want to die, go and die." "I don't want to die." "You're right. If it wasn't for you and the principal sneaking an attack on us, would Godchild get angry from embarrassment? Besides, he is the descendant of God's tribe. What can we do? Can we go against him? You don't want to live anymore, we still want to live." At this moment, many people knelt down and begged, "Godchild, please spare me, please spare me. This has nothing to do with me. Please spare me. They are all Dean of Donghuang College. The reason we didn't take the spirit gathering pill was also because of Dean of Donghuang College's order. It's all them. It is also the antidote for the few of them to secretly study the spirit gathering pill. We are completely unaware of this matter. Godchild, I beg you to let us go." Before the blade even reached his neck, he had already knelt down and begged for mercy. In a life or death situation, most people would choose to live on their knees instead of dying standing. He only had one life. No one wanted to die. The longer they lived, the more afraid they would be of death. On the other hand, many of the young disciples were looking at them with disdain, and said with a heavy tone, "Where is your backbone? Where is your dignity? Normally, you were so high and mighty, but now, you become like a dog. You guys don't fight, we fight. So what if you're a God's tribe? Who wants my life? Even if he is the heavens, I will still resist." Many young disciples jumped out. However, their cultivations, too weak. Let alone meeting Ghost Slave, they couldn't even clearly see Ghost Slave's figure. How could they fight against him? Bam! Suddenly, with an explosive sound, Dean of Donghuang College's body was blasted away. He landed heavily from mid-air and smashed into the ground while spitting out a mouthful of black blood. Ghost Slave looked down from above, a cold smile on his lips, and his figure flickered. Shua. He bent his knees and aimed at Dean of Donghuang College's chest, then smashed down heavily. Rumble. A strength stripes shot out, and Dean of Donghuang College's body immediately caved in, the bluestone floor beneath his back cracking and caving in. Phut. Blood sprayed wildly. His entire body seemed to be cracking. Unwell. An indescribable pain. When everyone saw this scene of admiration, their eyes all trembled. The fear in their hearts grew even stronger, and even more elders knelt down. They had lost all hope. Dean of Donghuang College struggled to speak. "Godchild, please let them go, I beg you." Ghost Slave had originally wanted to leave and was prepared to hunt the second one. When he heard Dean of Donghuang College's voice, the space between his eyebrows tightened slightly and his expression became displeased. "He's not dead yet?" He suddenly turned around. The power in his body became even more violent. Boom. He clenched both his fists tightly and gathered all the power he could muster. Then, he spat out one word, "Die." The surrounding people were stupefied. They could do nothing but watch helplessly. Fu Shishan screamed. "No!" Qian Yang threw himself forward. "Principal." The corner of the Son of Heaven's mouth curled up, and he disdainfully sneered. "If you fight with me, you will only have one result, die." Ghost Slave's fist struck down. The corner of Dean of Donghuang College's eyes twitched. He looked towards the city wall and squinted his eyes. He knew he was going to die. No one could save him, and no one dared to save him. However, in this split second, a strong aura suddenly descended. Next, the chi exploded with a boundless power. Boom. Ghost Slave's 10,000 strands of power, as though they were tightly gripped by a hand, instantly stopped and disappeared. All of these happened too quickly, and even the Dean of Donghuang College did not have time to react. Cough, cough. Cough, cough, cough. A hoarse voice came out of Ghost Slave's throat. At this moment, his neck was gripped by a hand, tightly clutching it. His face was extremely pale, and his four limbs were constantly struggling, but it was completely useless. His strength was completely crushed. Young master. Ghost Slave tried his best to spit out a few words. Godchild's eyes became cold as he stared at a middle-aged man. His mind shook as he felt an unprecedented pressure from the man's body. His cultivation base was higher than his, and a lot stronger. Dean of Donghuang College opened his eyes and looked at the man beside him. His pupils tightened. Yuan Tianwang. Everyone immediately reacted. White Horse Blossom Explosion, the #1 genius from East Imperial City. Yuan Tianwang, who was ranked third in the entire factory sect at that time. "It's Yuan Tianwang. It's really him. Ha ha ha. Yuan Tianwang is back." A few of the Donghuang College's great instructors became excited. The Son of Heaven didn't know anything about Yuan Tianwang, but he recognized the factory sect's emblem on Yuan Tianwang's chest. His eyes turned sinister as he said coldly, "Factory sect? You dare to oppose me?" Yuan Tianwang faintly said, "If I were to go against you, then he would already be dead." While they were talking, Yuan Tianwang's hand loosened slightly. Ghost Slave landed and quickly moved to the side, afraid that Yuan Tianwang would attack him again. That feeling of being crushed like this was too unbearable. This action caused everyone's hearts to turn cold. Even if it was the factory sectess, they would not dare to challenge the God's tribe, much less go against him. Yuan Tianwang was the same. The Son of Heaven said coldly, "If you don't dare, then scram to the side." Yuan Tianwang's gaze tightened for a moment, and said, "Godchild, East Imperial City is already in such a mess, shouldn't you stop?" The Son of Heaven sneered, "Who do you think you are? Tell me to stop." Even the sect master of your factory sect has to kneel and speak in front of me. Extremely arrogant. Arrogant. Even if his strength was inferior to Yuan Tianwang, so what? Because he was a descendant of God's tribe. The entire universal realm was stepped on by his God's tribe. Who would dare to even touch him? No one. Just as he had said, even if the factory sect's sect master came, she did not dare to touch him at all. Just because of his identity. If they touched him, it would mean that they would become enemies with the god's tribe. Who would dare? Chapter 29:13 Who dares to touch me? Chapter 29:13 Who dares to touch me? The god's tribe was supreme. He would crush all races, and he would crush all worlds. For the past billions of years, his position as a Ji-Zun had never been shaken, and anyone who faced the god's tribe as an enemy would not meet a good end. To become enemies with the god's tribe would also mean to become enemies with all the realms. There was no one, nor was there any power that was strong enough to be an enemy of the 10,000 worlds. The god-child grabbed onto this point. Even though his cultivation was lower than Yuan Tianwang's, he was still able to crush him. No one dares to stop me from doing what I have to do. You trash, what kind of thing are you? Tell me to stop. Humph, godchild laughed disdainfully, completely disregarding Yuan Tianwang. If Yuan Tianwang was a rogue cultivator, he would still be afraid. However, since Yuan Tianwang was the Fatri sect, he did not need to worry about it, because even the Fatri sect did not dare to do anything to him. Yuan Tianwang frowned, he did not dare make a sound. He didn't dare. No. No matter how angry he was in his heart, he had to suppress it. As long as he made a move on the Son of Heaven, not only would the East Imperial City suffer, even the Fatri sect would be implicated. The Son of Heaven coldly stared at Ghost Slave, coldly snorting, trash. Then, he looked at Huahong, who was in a daze, and slapped him. What the F***K are you looking at? I will have you capture that brat for me. His cheeks burning, he immediately blew the flute. The East Imperial City attacked Long Fei once again. The Son of Heaven coldly stared at Long Fei, who was on the city wall, his lips curled as he said, "You dog, you stole something from my god's tribe, do you think you can live? Fight with me. I won't be able to toy with you." His eyes were excited. Very quickly, the power of the ancient inheritance that Tianwu was holding was him. As long as he could obtain a strand of ancient inheritance's power, he would be able to change his fate, and would no longer need to train in mortal time, and would be able to directly step into the god's tribe palace. Ha ha ha. Thinking of these days, the Son of Heaven could not help but laugh maniacally. On the city wall, seeing Yuan Tianwang's appearance, Long Fei thought that he would stop Tianzi. But not. Elder Swordsman asked in a soft voice, "Did you see that? In this world, no one dared to go against the god's tribe, so what if Yuan Tianwang's cultivation was stronger than the Son of Heaven? But they are still being crushed. There is nothing that can be done. Kid, you have already saved tens of millions of people in East Imperial City, and have done what you wanted to do. Right now, you still have a chance to escape, if not." Without waiting for Elder Swordsman to finish speaking, Long Fei said, "Others do not dare, I dare. God's tribe. Sooner or later, I will trample it to death." Seeing everything that was happening in the distance, Long Fei was very angry in his heart. At the same time, he also understood that it was no wonder that the reason why the god's tribe was able to stand tall in the universal realm for billions of years was not because the god's tribe was strong, nor was it because the Emperor Xian controlled the power of the ancient inheritance that was born from the ancient world. No one dared to touch the god's tribe. Over time, the god's tribe became a god in everyone's hearts. Those who disobeyed would die. But Long Fei was different. In his memory, he was fighting against the god's tribe. In the Zhenwu continent, his enemy was still the god's tribe. He would not rest until he overturned God's tribe. What could a mere descendant of God's tribe do? Elder Swordsman's brows sunk as he lightly shook his head. "Brat, if we keep the Green Mountains, we won't have to worry about not burning firewood. What is your true cultivation level?" Putting aside the fact that he is the Son of Heaven, just based on his cultivation level in the royal realm, you are not a match for him. Elder Swordsman spoke sincerely and earnestly. Long Fei shocked him. He hoped that Long Fei could survive. Even if he couldn't completely defeat the god's tribe, Long Fei had at least the power of the ancient inheritance, so any kind of power from the ancient inheritance was a ray of hope. The corner of Long Fei's mouth curled up, and said, "My motto in life is, life and death see nothing. If you don't accept it, then this father will do it. While they were talking, Long Fei jumped down from the city walls that was 30,000 meters high. In such a large East Imperial city, not a single person dared to rebel against the god's tribe. If others did not dare to do so, then he would be the first one to do so. He grabbed the chains on the big butcher and jumped down. Over 100 of the great sages of the realm, the senior realm's powerhouses also surrounded and attacked in an instant. Bam! Long Fei landed on the ground. He retracted the chain. Long Fei used all his strength and the big butcher slashed down heavily. Shua! Huala! With a loud noise, the big butcher slashed down. A great sage realm powerhouse was directly split into two, not because Long Fei was strong, but because those great sage realm powerhouse could not defend at all. They only know how to attack. Ding! A system notification rang out. Long Fei's eyes tightened, and gently exhaled. The idea moved, and said, I haven't used you guys for a long time. Supreme Dragon Knife Energy, Sky Sword Energy had never owned a weapon ever since he entered the Universal Realm. Because, in his heart, the best weapons were Supreme Dragon Knife and Primordial First Sword Sky Sword, but these two weapons had been turned into two streams of energy by the power of the decayed ancient inheritance. Could not be used by Long Fei for a long time. And then again. The Sky Sword spirit told him to go to the God's Design Attic to recreate the Sky Sword, but up until now, Long Fei had not found the location of the God's Design Attic. A dragon blade in one hand. A sky sword in one hand. Long Fei's eyes darkened as though he was a god of death, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly, and when he saw the surrounding powerhouse, he shouted excitedly, Come! He used his full combat power. So what if his cultivation is low? I'm not in a good mood, so I'll do it too. Long Fei shocked many people in the East Imperial City, especially the young disciples, all of them secretly. The Son of Heaven sneered and said, You overestimate yourself. Fight with me. Kill them all. His body is enough. Hua Hong's flute music instantly changed. Those 100 powerhouses rushed forward in a flash, not giving themselves a chance to retreat. All of them were killing moves, as they charged towards Long Fei. Rumble. 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 The air continued to emit explosive sounds. Hundreds of powerhouse surrounded and killed him. Forget about Long Fei, who was only at the 9th level of Yuanying stage. Even if he was at the royal realm, he wouldn't be able to defend against them. At this moment, Fu Shishan ignored everything and rushed out. Long Fei. Lan Mai also rushed out from the courtyard. Long Fei. Big brother Long Fei. Big brother Long Fei. A purple-faced Su Su, whose face was pale white, suddenly rushed out as he recited the last line of thought for Long Fei. Fuck you. Make a move on my boss. I'll fight it out with you. Tan De Pao was no longer hiding anything. He suddenly changed the direction of the cannon in his hand, channeled all his energy and immediately rushed out. Dean of Donghuang College said solemnly, Sky King, go save him, he cannot die. The Son of Heaven said coldly, whoever dares to save him will become enemies with the God's tribe. Whoever dares to save him will have to give it a try. The Son of Heaven stared at Yuan Tianwang, and said, Your head is iron? If you have the guts, go try and save one. I'll see if your factory sect is dead or not. Yuan Tianwang's gaze darkened, and he did not move. The teachers of the Donghuang College and the elders of the various great families did not move. Because fear. Chapter 29:14 Berserk, Big Lottery. Chapter 29:14 Berserk, Big Lottery. No one dared to save him. Even many people wished for Long Fei to die early. The Son of Heaven had gotten what he wanted earlier, and left quickly. As long as the Son of Heaven left, East Imperial City would still be the East Imperial City, and everything would return to normal. They were also the first-rate families, nobles of East Imperial City. Many of the elders said solemnly, he is just a muggle from a lower plane. Why would we save him? Exactly. If not for the fact that his godchild would not be so angry, he would be dead. He deserves to die. Maybe it's all his doing. They had forgotten who saved tens of millions of their disciples, their families, and even their sons. This world will always be like this. Cold and emotionless. Yuan Tianwang said solemnly, I'm sorry, teacher, I am unable to save him. He couldn't save her. Dean of Donghuang College revealed a painful expression as he thought in his heart, even if he dies, Mu clan will still massacre East Imperial City, and Long Fei is not bad. I'm sorry. Kid, I'm really sorry. Dean of Donghuang College started to blame himself in his heart. Moreover, his injuries were getting more and more severe. Just now, Ghost Slave's one move had caused all of his internal organs to split apart, so he wouldn't be able to live much longer. He regretted it now. He regretted not reacting in time to let the envoy know that Long Fei was in East Imperial City, but now, it was too late to say anything. He secretly felt pain in his heart because of the who was being surrounded. Yuan Tianwang was also very weak. The Son of Heaven laughed complacently, ha ha ha. If you have the guts, go save them. Let me see who would dare to oppose the God's tribe. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. He laughed maniacally and proudly. Elder Swordsman's face turned ugly, his heart was in a mess. However, he didn't come out either. He was different from Yuan Tianwang. It wasn't that he didn't dare to, he just felt that there was no need to expose himself even if he had to kill a low-level descendant of God's tribe like Tianzi. You're still being too reckless. Elder Swordsman also felt pain in his heart. Big brother Zhu, are we just going to wait and see? It was Long Fei who saved us. If not for him, we would have all died. Are we just going to watch? Can't we do something? Zhu Tian began to cry and laugh, and said, what can we do? With our cultivation, we can't even go down the city walls, what can we do? We really are useless. Some people wished for Long Fei to die quickly, while some others wished for Long Fei to live on. The venerable powerhouse's forehead tightened as he said softly, I have never used the universal soul in this universal realm before. I wonder if it is still as sharp as ever in universal realm. Long Fei had used primordial energy in the Zhenwu continent. That scene was simply devastating to the extreme. Now, there was nothing he could do. Even if he summoned out all of Aney Road, and the others, they would still not be his match. He had to rely on himself. Who? I don't care. Long Fei let out a light breath, and the idea moved. Grand Mist Energy, activate. 100 points of universal value could be exchanged for a bit of primordial energy. A few days ago, Long Fei had killed quite a few people on the Dragon Gathering and obtained a few tens of primordial energy. The idea moved. Ding. System notification, releasing primordial energy, release. Buzz. Suddenly, an ear-piercing hum came from Long Fei's body. A strength stripes shot out like a wave of light. At this moment, the experts who were rushing over were sent flying by a power. Buzz. Another loud sound rang out, and the power within it shot into the sky. Long Fei's face turned sinister, he was in extreme pain. It was very hard. His body felt like it was about to explode, as a powerful force broke through his flesh. Even though it was painful. But, so cool. That kind of power was as if he was holding it tightly in his hand. Fuck, he's still so strong, ha ha ha. That's so hanging. He raised his eyes. He stared at the distant Son of Heaven. Fuck, what's wrong with going against you? Are you very tired? What happened to God's tribe? The God's tribe that Lousy stepped on is you. As soon as he finished speaking, the aura on Long Fei's body shot up to the sky like a beam of light, and then exploded once more, transforming into a gigantic energy shockwave. Boom. The powerful shockwave swept out like a wave of heat. The building collapsed and rubble flew everywhere. Many people were unable to withstand it, like a hurricane of rank 10. The Son of Heaven frowned. What power? Yuan Tianwang looked into the sky and muttered, Grand Mist Energy, this power. It seems to be the universal realm's power of the heavens and earth. How is this possible? What dogs hit heaven and earth powers? Even if it's the universal realm S, they will still be trampled by the God's tribe S. Can a trash from the lower realms like him be able to control the universal realm? The Son of Heaven looked displeased and shouted, Kill him. Hua Hong's flute melody changed once again. The 100 powerhouse puppets that were just blown away once again rushed forward. This time, they were even more vicious. He didn't care about his life. Long Fei laughed sinisterly, giving out experience. I'll take it. The power of Grand Mist slightly moved, and directly entered into the blade and sword. In the instant that the 100 powerhouses pounced on him, Long Fei roared out, "Die!" Boom! He twisted his body. He spread out both of his hands, slashing out with saber and sword. Rumble! Rumble! A hurricane moved. He pressed down with all his might. Hualala! The entire world suddenly quieted down. The energy of the primordial energy on Long Fei's body was all used up. Then, he looked at the 100 powerhouses. Their bodies were all suspended in midair, and were not moving at all, as if they were bound by some kind of power. Everyone in the entire East Imperial City was looking at Long Fei. Long Fei's gaze trembled slightly. He was also looking around. Suddenly, a melodious sound rang out from the system. Ding! Bam! A dropped from the sky. There was not a single wound on their bodies, and they died just like that. Their pupils returned to normal, and even the GU worms on their pubes were killed instantly. Bam! Bam! Bang! 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 Corpses fell from the sky one after another. Every single one of them was in the same state of death. Their pupils dilated and their faces filled with fear. At the last moment, their consciousness had returned, but they didn't know how they had died. Ding! 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 Long Fei watched as his experience points increased explosively, his experience bar rising non-stop. Just a bit more, just a bit more, just a bit more, and I would have leveled up again. The notification sound was still ringing. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, LV1 Spirit Master. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for breaking through the level of a spiritual master and obtaining a special reward from the system. The reward is big lottery once. Ding! System notification. Do you want to start the lottery draw? I've heard of the lottery draw before, but I've never heard of the draw. Long Fei shouted excitedly, activate. Of course we have to activate it. It is right when our luck is going to explode. Ding! System notification. The lottery draw begins. Chapter 2915 Oxhead PULSS, The Train's On. Chapter 2915 Oxhead PULSS, The Train's On. He had seen the lottery draw before, but not the big one. Long Fei was nervous. Every time he thought about it, his mind would always be filled with all kinds of fantasies. He would have to think about the beauties of the warrior, the bikini beauties and the invincible golden fingers, letting him instantly overturn the god's tribe and dominate the entire universe. He's here. It's here, it's here. The big lottery is starting. A giant roulette appeared in his mind. Just like the slot machine in the game hall in his previous life, the system quickly gave a prompt and the slot machine started spinning. Hualala. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Hualala. The spinning lights continuously flickered, passing by one treasure after another. Each one of them made Long Fei drool, and he couldn't wait to get all of them into his hands. However, after all, it was just a chance. The rotation speed was getting slower and slower. Long Fei was getting more and more nervous. Brother, keep it steady. That's it, Tsanglong Overlord Blade. Jump over. Damn. Your sister, can you stop being like this? That's fine too. God King Titan Gloves, that's fine too. Stop, stop, stop. He jumped over it again. I lost your old mother. Long Fei wanted to go crazy. This feeling was too uncomfortable, too torturous. It seemed like he was about to stop and think that he was about to win the lottery, but he jumped again. It's the last one. Last box. Bro, it's you. Fruit of Darkness. It's your turn, hurry up. Long Fei stared at the thing on the grid. The darkness fruit that Blackbeard had swallowed was actually this one thing. The things that appeared in the universal realm were all improved versions. The lower level of the plane was completely different. The one square of the dark fruit lit up. Long Fei said excitedly, I got it. Before he even finished speaking, There was another flash of light, and then he stopped moving. Long Fei was immediately stunned, and looked at the grid which had stopped moving. It was a space. Nothing. It was like the grid on both sides of the slot machine, starting up. No. Nothing. System. Don't play with me like that, or else I'm really going to kill you. The anger in Long Fei's heart could no longer hold back, and was on the verge of erupting like thunder. Both of his eyes stared intently at the space. Long Fei's voice turned cold and said solemnly, "If you don't give me something, I will definitely cripple you. If it doesn't work, then go ahead and try." The flames of anger soared to the sky. Long Fei's eyes were ruthless. Big lucky draw. He was looking forward to it so much that he created a blank space with nothing to show for it. What the hell was this? A hammer. How could he tolerate this? If you have the guts, then try it. Long Fei held his breath as he looked at the interface of the lottery. Suddenly, a voice suddenly rang out from the interface of the drawer. "It's time to start the train. What's more, what's more, what's more?" Hearing this voice, Long Fei's eyes suddenly widened, and his eyes flashed with a bright light. He was so excited that it seemed like he was about to climax. Ha ha ha. He laughed like he was going to die. What heaven-defying luck. I met him driving the train, ha ha ha. His luck is really too good, it's really too *king good. Long Fei laughed like a blooming flower. There are many kinds of tricks in a slot machine, and driving a train is the same. It was at least 2 knots. Both segments were at least 2 things, and on the wheel of the big lottery were not 2, but 4 small trains. Which meant that Long Fei had drawn 4 treasures. 1 became 4. How amazing was this? Long Fei was extremely excited, seeing the light flicker. The little train started to run. It's going to go, it's going to go, even the train is coming out. If it's a grand slam, then. The grand slam was everything to Long Fei. That luck wasn't a blowout, that was blowout luck. However, this sort of thing was basically impossible. Long Fei was satisfied enough to have 4 small trains to drive Long Fei. Half a minute later, the train began to slow. It's time to stand. He's here. Long Fei's eyes were wide opened as he stared at the spinning wheel. Bam! 4 small trains heard it, then thumped, thump, 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 thump. Ding. Congratulations to the player Long Fei for obtaining the God-slapping whip. Do you wish to receive it? Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the helium gold essence ore. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 1000 Li soul chasing slash. Do you wish to receive it? Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Flame Shadow Weasel's loyalty level, 100%. Would you like to receive it? Long Fei's eyes flickered, his entire body was trembling with excitement as he looked at the 4 things in front of him, and said in a heavy voice, "Mother****. This is definitely going to be rich. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha." The idea moved. Receive, receive, receive all of them. The 4 items were all awesome PULSS. It felt great. So what if you are a god with the divine whip in Jiangxia's hand? If you don't listen, you'll be whipped to death one after another. Universal Realm doesn't have a god, but the usage of the god-slaying whip is just as awesome. Long Fei looked at the god-slaying whip's attribute and could not stop laughing. It can break any kind of pressure and suppress people, and it can even have a super critical hit. It also has the effect of a destructive strike. Awesome. Helium gold or unknown metal in the universe. This was his attribute. When Long Fei obtained this piece of ore, the killing sword on his abdomen was ready to devour. Long Fei said, "Could it be that you want to devour it? Here you go." The idea moved, and directly swallowed them. The killing sword itself was a strand of ancient inheritance power. It had its own consciousness, and with Long Fei's permission, it instantly devoured the helium gold ore. Ding. System notification. Killing sword * to her? Damn. Is this systematizing the killing sword? The killing sword became 2-tier. Although it was still in Mahayana realm level, its damage was raised by 2-tier. Hee hee. Awesome. Not only that. The damage done to the killing sword was also healed instantly. It became as good as new. This made Long Fei the most excited, so killing sword ingested all kinds of metals to level up. So as long as you get enough powerful metals, you can let the killing sword level up limitlessly. Disgraceful. Then are my decayed ancient inheritance, underworld fire S, and black and white power also cultivated like this. Long Fei's mind started to become clear. He hadn't known how to cultivate in the past, but now. He seemed to understand a little now. 1000 Li soul chasing / cultivate. With a single slash, he caused his soul to chase up to 1,000 kilometers. Long Fei immediately started cultivating his divine level skills. The last thing. It was also the thing that made Long Fei the most excited. The weasel from the world of the fire ninjas, the person that I like the most, has 100% loyalty to. Awesome, my brother. Chapter 29:16 I want to kill him. Chapter 29:16 I want to kill him. How much is Acre's loyalty? 1 star. Nai Xiaoqian had barely leveled up to 2 stars because of Long Fei releasing his charm value. Where's Annie Road? This fellow was terrifying, but he was completely out of control. He could go berserk at any moment. What did a 100% loyalty level mean? Fire at full blast. He would never betray her. How amazing was this? If Long Fei didn't know how to read, he really would have thought that he was hallucinating. Monster, 100% loyalty, receive. The meerkat disappeared from the system interface and appeared in the midst of Long Fei's summons. Moreover, at the same time, a system notification rang out. Ding. System notification. The fire world seed has sprouted. Long Fei was shocked. The other seeds were still seeds, but the fire shadow world seeds had already sprouted right after being planted. Is this because of the weasel's loyalty? It seems like I have to use the time of their appearance on stage to make them as strong and as loyal as possible. When that time comes, let all the bosses in the mythical world, anime world, and super future time come one by one and crush God's tribe. Whoa. Just thinking about it makes my blood boil. Long Fei was incomparably excited. Breaking into the spirit rank had brought him far too many things. He hadn't felt this good in a long time. When he used the Universal Soul to kill the 100s in one move, the entire East Imperial City sank into silence. Too awesome. One-hit kill. This. Even Yuan Tianwang, who was at the peak of the Emperor level, would not be able to do it. Both of his eyes secretly went in. Yuan Tianwang looked at Long Fei, his blood boiling. Good boy. What just happened? It's too fast, my eyes are blurring. This is way too fast. One move. He had killed so many powerhouses. How was this possible? Even the Emperor powerhouse cannot do it. What power did he use just now? He was stunned. Everyone was stunned. Their shock was indescribable as they looked at Long Fei like idiots. I thought that Mu Clan was looking for him because of his alchemy talent. It seems like that's not the case. The strength that just now, the power of heaven and earth of the universal realm was actually able to use such power. This is too unbelievable. I finally understand why Mu Clan wants to find him. Dean of Donghuang College smiled and muttered, it's a pity that I don't have the chance to go to Xiao Yao City anymore. If not, perhaps my old life can live for a few more years. Ha ha ha. Brother Fei is mighty. Brother Fei is domineering. Brother Fei is awesome. Ha ha ha. Tan De Pao ran over excitedly. Seeing the scene just now, the worship and adoration Tan De Pao felt towards Long Fei was even stronger than that of a god. Fu Shishan also ran over. She was only concerned about Long Fei's safety and asked, are you injured? Lan Mai also ran over. In addition to that, there was the deeply poisoned Su Su who had turned purple. 3 people. 2 sets of phoenix cloths and a set of elf's battle gear. The 3 of them standing together gave people a breathtaking feeling. They were too beautiful. Especially the clothes they wore. Any man would be attracted by their beauty. The 3 women all liked Long Fei, which made the Son of Heaven very unhappy. When he thought about the person Su said he liked last time, it should be Long Fei as well. The anger in the Son of Heaven's heart rose even more. Fight with me for the woman. You dog, I think you're tired of living, arrogant and domineering. Since he was born, he could obtain whatever he wanted. No one dared to snatch it from him, because he had always been born with the God's tribe blood vein. He was born with the descendant of God's tribe. He was the highest noble in the world. Just like the heavenly dragon people in the One Piece. Long Fei did not bother about him, but looked at Su and asked, "Are you alright?" Su's face revealed extreme pain, and he said, I'm fine. Long Fei said, "Don't worry, I will definitely think of a way to refine the antidote." Su smiled faintly and said, "I believe you." Regarding Long Fei, she would believe anything that was said. Even if Long Fei was unable to refine the antidote in the end, she would still be satisfied to die by his side. Seeing the two of them flirting, the Son of Heaven's fury rushed to his head and he roared, "Bastard, your father is talking to you. Are you King deaf?" Long Fei still did not hear it, and said to Tan Dapao, "Cannon, protect them well." Tan Dapao immediately replied, "Understood. Boss, what are you going to do?" Long Fei raised her eyes, a sharp and sinister killing intent flashed in her eyes, and she icily said, "I want to kill him." Icy cold. Killing intent filled the skies. Long Fei's man-eating eyes caused the Son of Heaven's heart to tremble slightly, and he could not help but feel a chill in his heart. It was also at this time. Long Fei moved his idea, "Universal Soul, open for me." Ding. System notification. The player's body cannot withstand 2 times of Universal Soul's release in a short period of time. If the player is forced to release half of his strength, would you like to release it? Every strand of power had its own restrictions. The same goes for the Universal Soul. Long Fei's level was too low, so if he were to continuously release his physical body, he wouldn't be able to endure it. Moreover, with the continuous release of Universal Soul, one's power would be restricted. However, Long Fei did not hesitate at all. From the very beginning, a ball of fire had been burning in his heart. East Imperial City had been reduced to such a state, his friend had been messed up to such a state, Dean of Donghuang College had been severely injured. He could endure it, but he could still endure it. If there was one thing he could not tolerate, then Su. You dare to touch his woman? That was death. Thus, Long Fei didn't even think as he directly released the Universal Soul. Buzz. An ear-piercing hum. This voice covered the entire East Imperial City. Everyone's mind trembled slightly. The Son of Heaven's eyes also darkened. He disdainfully said, "You dog, you dare to touch me? Just King move one of your..." Not waiting for him to finish, Hua Hong suddenly called out, and said, "Young noble, he's gone." Son of Heaven's pupils constricted. He released all the power he had on him. But, without waiting for his fighting strength to activate, his cheek suddenly felt a burning pain, as if a red-hot iron fan was slapped on his face. The huge force directly caused 2 of his front teeth to fall off, and he also spat out blood. A roar. "I'm stepping on you. Pa." A resounding slap across the face. Tianzi staggered a few steps and fell to the ground. His eyes were filled with anger and his eyes were bloodshot. He touched his face with one hand and turned around like a mad beast. He shouted, "I want to. Pa." The left side of his face slapped again. The Son of Heaven was sent flying with a slap. Stunned. Everyone was stupefied. At the same time, the fear in their hearts occupied their minds. Chapter 29:17, Defeating Your Ancestors. Chapter 29:17, Defeating Your Ancestors. Bam! The Son of Heaven came crashing down from the sky. His hair was disheveled. His clothes were tattered and he looked like a beggar on the street. "Hit me. Do you know who I am? You dare to hit Laozi? I am the descendant of God's tribe. The one flowing in my body is the God's tribe's blood vein. If you touch me, the God's tribe will overturn your 18 generations of ancestors. You will die. Everyone here will die." The Son of Heaven's eyes were bloodshot. He looked extremely sinister, staring at Long Fei who was falling down from the sky. He was not afraid at all, and said, "Kill me, Kill me if you dare. If I die, everyone here will die with me." The Son of Heaven did not move at all. Because he knew in his heart that no one in the universal realm would dare to openly kill the descendant of God's tribe, no matter who they were. Even those super hegemons would not dare to openly kill the descendant of God's tribe. Once killed, this would mean war with the God's tribe. As a result, if he completely disappeared from universal realm, anyone who was related to him, their power and influence would be wiped out. The power of the God's tribe was too strong. Long Fei did not care so much. "You don't dare to kill me. Not to mention you, I, your father, will also kill your God's tribe dog King Emperor Xian in front of me." His right hand moved. Soul-breaking whip. Buzz. Just now, the God-slapping whip had landed in his hand. Long Fei immediately clenched his fists and smashed down with all his might. "There is no one in this daddy's world that cannot be killed." Boom. 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 Under the spirit-breaking whip, an explosive sound could be heard. It was like the sound of space shattering. The eyes of the Son of Heaven darkened, and his body couldn't help but quiver. "I am dead, and you will all die. Long Fei, don't kill him. You can't kill him. Brat, stop right now. He can't die." In an instant, many of the elders and powerhouses jumped out and surrounded the Son of Heaven, protecting him. Even when facing against the strong power of Long Fei's God-slaying whip, they did not retreat. Because they knew clearly in their hearts that once the Son of Heaven died, the East Imperial City would be razed to the ground by the God's tribe, and none of them would be able to escape. Although the methods of the God's tribe had never been used in the East Imperial City, there were far too many in the history of the place. It was the same for hegemony forces that were 10,000 times stronger than East Imperial City. Just because they offended God's tribe, they were uprooted and disappeared without a trace. Not only that, he would absolutely not allow the legacy to continue. The once incomparably powerful fairy sword sect. After being uprooted, the entire immortal sword sect never appeared again and no one dared to cultivate. The dragon clan of the former hegemony of ancient world. He also knelt in front of Emperor Xian, and became the guard dog of God's tribe. The number one clan of ancient world, the Ming clan, the supreme overlord of the entire realm. In the entire universal realm, who would dare to cultivate in the underworld? This kind of God's tribe was too strong. No one dared to contend against him. Those were only offending the God's tribe. If they were to die in his place, the consequences would be even more unimaginable. The Son of Heaven must not die. Absolutely not. The dean of Donghuang College said with difficulty, "Long Fei, you can't kill him." Elder Swordsman was secretly sending a sound transmission to Long Fei as well, and said, "Brat, you have to think carefully about the consequences. Killing him in front of so many people is equivalent to declaring war on God's tribe, and the consequence is that hundreds of millions of ordinary citizens in East Imperial City will be killed because of you. And you yourself will also become the target of the various clan powerhouses' pursuit. Kid, don't sink into the abyss just because of a small descendant of God's tribe, it's not worth it at all." Therefore, everyone advised Long Fei not to attack. More and more people were guarding the Son of Heaven, even those who had been poisoned by the Son of Heaven. Protecting the Son of Heaven meant protecting himself. "Brat, stop. You want to die, but we don't want to die. Don't kill us. Please, we don't want to die." After a series of insults and pleas from the ground, Long Fei's heart started to feel slightly cold. This world. How could this happen? Is this how the people of Universal Realm are like? Is the Universal Realm such a world? Long Fei's heart went cold. I'm so disappointed. If he saved them and didn't thank them, then that would be fine. However, they were now pleading for the person who wanted to kill them. What was wrong with this world? Was the God's tribe that scary? His heart turned cold. Just like the snow blowing into East Imperial City, her heart went cold. It was ice cold. He retracted his aura and smiled bitterly. But the Son of Heaven just laughed proudly. "Ha ha ha. Kill me. You dog, who do you think you are? You think you can kill me? Ha ha ha. The entire universal realm belongs to my God's tribe. If you kill me, You will become enemies with my god's tribe. Even a trash like you doesn't take a piss. What do you count as? Ha ha ha. The Son of Heaven could feel that Long Fei's aura was weakening, and he started to laugh arrogantly. He knew that it would happen, no matter how powerful the powerhouse was, they wouldn't dare to kill him. Just because of his identity, no one dared to touch him. Come, kill me, let's give it a try. Ha ha ha. The Son of Heaven laughed arrogantly, saying, fight against me? You are not qualified. I will definitely kill you today, and then ride all of your women under your crotch. These beauties are still young, but if you get them onto the bed and ride under your crotch, they'll definitely be very beautiful, ha ha ha. He laughed maniacally and proudly. He didn't notice the look in Long Fei's eyes at all. Cold eyes. Release the universal soul. Ding. System notification. The use of the universal soul is not over, release confirmed. If you once again release the power of the universal soul, it will be reduced by another half. The universal soul on Long Fei's body had not disappeared yet, so if he were to release it again, he would have to endure even more pain. Long Fei still did not hesitate, and said, release. Ding. Release complete. Buzz. A powerful wave of light shot out. The buzzing sound suddenly exploded. Everyone was scared silly. The Son of Heaven's pupils contracted. He trembled with fear and immediately shouted, what are you trying to do? What do you want to do? You dog, you dare. The power on the divine breaking whip in Long Fei's hands was released once more. What? Long Fei smirked and laughed coldly. I want to become your ancestor. Boom. Die. He gripped his hands together and poured the power of Grand Mist into them. Whoever blocks it will die. I can't control my anger. Originally, Long Fei's heart had been cold, but the arrogant and proud look of the Son of Heaven made him extremely unhappy. So what if you're a god's tribe? So what if it was the myriad heavens? So what if he was enemies with the entire world? I don't feel good. It was the same. Kill. Chapter 29:18 Rage Attack, Forcefully Defend. Chapter 29:18 Rage Attack, Forcefully Defend. A lot of debt does not weigh on one's body. It was the same for enmity. The ultimate reason why Long Fei entered the universal realm was to turn over the entire God's tribe. How could he not kill a mere descendant of God's tribe? Could Long Fei's fiery temper really hold up? Moreover, with two pieces of universal soul stacking on top of each other, he had paid quite a price, so how could it be wasted like this? No. Therefore, he had to die. The dragon roared furiously. From above, the space beneath the divine breaking whip split apart as a powerful force poured down like thunder. Long Fei howled at the top of his lungs, die. Tianzi's pupils suddenly contracted. You dare to kill me? God's tribe will kill all of the people who are related to you. You don't want to live anymore. Are you also not doing this for your family? Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Long Fei's divine soul whip had already come down. At this moment, the Son of Heaven was shaking, and urine was dripping from his crotch. He was scared to the point of peeing. No one had ever dared to act arrogantly in front of him, nor did anyone dare to offend him, much less kill him. Since young, he had always been a king. But now, he was so scared that his face turned pale and his body trembled. He covered his head with his hands and squatted on the ground. He said while trembling, no, God's tribe was the same. They were also afraid of death. The Son of Heaven was afraid of death, but the East Imperial City experts around him were furious, and many of them tried to protect the Son of Heaven. Long Fei was even more disappointed when he saw this. Those who block me, die. Both of his hands moved as he wielded the axe, heavily hacking down towards the crown of the Son of Heaven's head. In the blink of an eye, buzz. A surge of power exploded out. Rumble. The power of a peak emperor formed a deep pressure. It was like a huge wave smashing towards Long Fei. Yuan Tianwang moved, but, under the effect of the god slapping whip, the ground was crushed to smithereens. It was unable to crush Long Fei at all. Yuan Tianwang secretly frowned. How can it be like this? The pressure was ineffective. Yuan Tianwang was puzzled in his heart. But at the same time, he was even more shocked. A kid who just broke through to the spirit learner realm actually possessed such powerful strength. If you didn't see it with your own eyes, I'm afraid no one would have believed you. A Psycho realm warrior that could crush the Emperor powerhouse? It was simply impossible, but there was nothing impossible with Long Fei. In the midst of his shock, Yuan Tianwang's body shuttled back and forth. A green-colored long spear in his hand slightly moved, and fiercely thrust forward, blocking Long Fei's god-slaying whip. His voice sunk as he said in a heavy tone, "Kid, that should be enough, right?" As soon as he finished speaking, the two forces collided. Buzz! A powerful shockwave exploded out in an instant. The Supreme Realm and Sage's powerhouse were all blown away by the shockwave. Boom, boom, boom. Explosions constantly rang out in the air. Long Fei's hands turned numb, the bones in both of his hands looked like they were about to be dislocated. It was extremely uncomfortable. However, Yuan Tianwang was in even more pain. His arm was almost crippled, and he felt an indescribable discomfort all over his body. It was as if his arm was being crushed by a supreme divine power, making him unable to move. Not only that. Crack. Suddenly, a sound was heard. The green spear suddenly shattered. Yuan Tianwang's pupils tightened as he clenched his fists tightly. Green Qilin. This was his favorite weapon, a weapon passed down from his ancestors. He risked his life to fight with him, entered the Great Wasteland, and entered the valley. He did not have many friends in the Fatri sect, so he treated the green-scaled spear as his brother. But now, under the effect of the spirit-breaking whip, the green scale was broken. Yuan Tianwang's heart suddenly tightened. Long Fei was also secretly startled, but when he did something, 1 was 1, 2 was 2. The Son of Heaven must die. His body flipped, and he leaped up once more. Using the last bit of the Universal Soul's power, he chopped down at the Son of Heaven once again. Die. Long Fei made a comeback. This time, no one could stop him, right? Yuan Tianwang frowned deeply as he picked up the other half of the long spear on the ground. With both hands intertwined, he pushed the spear forward once again, and said with a heavy voice, "He can't die." As soon as he finished speaking, the power of the royal realm soared to its peak. The Emperor's qi was boiling. The strength on Yuan Tianwang's body burned like flames. The entire scene looked exceptionally valiant. The peak of the Emperor level, his cultivation was extremely high. With his full strength exploding forth, his strength was terrifying to the extreme. Boom! He blocked it once more. The power exploded again, and this time Long Fei's palm directly split open, blood gushing out, the power in both of his arms trembling to the point where he could not release any of it. He lowered his body slightly and staggered back a few steps. His hands were trembling. He couldn't even hold the divine whip, it was too unbearable. Yuan Tianwang was even more miserable. He was only defending, using all his strength to defend instead of retaliating. His imperial qi was shattered by the divine striking whip. Similarly, both his hands were lacerated, and blood gushed from them. Not only that, the green Qilin spear broke once again, but this time it was broken into 4 pieces. Nothing made Yuan Tianwang feel more pain than this. His brother had already died, and he was still dismembered by someone else. Yuan Tianwang frowned as she slowly stood up. Looking at Long Fei, she said, "I know you want to kill him. The East Imperial City is in such a state. It can be said that everyone wants to kill him. But he really can't die. Kid, can you listen to my advice?" Yuan Tianwang bitterly looked at Long Fei. In his eyes, there was a trace of lament. He was afraid that Long Fei would ruin him. Such a genius. It should be said that if a genius that was like a super monster died here, it would be a loss to the East Imperial City. It was a loss to the universal realm. As long as the Son of Heaven did not die, the God's tribe would not punish him. After all, he was just a side character in the God's tribe. Dean of Donghuang College was helped to his feet, and said with great difficulty, "Long Fei, let's stop, it's already enough." Long Fei looked at Yuan Tianwang, then looked at Dean of Donghuang College, his heart sinking again. Ding! System notification. The power of the universal soul has disappeared. Ding. System notification. Players are unable to use the universal soul for a short period of time. 2 notifications sounded. Long Fei's heart sank. The momentum in his heart had already disappeared. The current him was a spiritual master, so even if he wanted to kill the Son of Heaven, he wouldn't be able to. The idea withdrew. The spirit-breaking whip returned to the space ring. Seeing Long Fei put away the weapon, Yuan Tianwang heaved a sigh of relief, and thought to himself, thank God, otherwise, it would really be bad. Dean of Donghuang College let out a long sigh of relief. The entire East Imperial City let out a sigh of relief. But the Son of Heaven slowly stood up. He was in an extremely sorry state, and was scared to the point of peeing his pants. If news of this got out, how could he still have any face? Let alone being shameless, even the God's tribe would not let him live because he had lost his face to the God's tribe. The Son of Heaven said with a deep voice, "Do you think this is the end? Now, I order you all to kill him, otherwise, I will turn East Imperial City into a dead city." Chapter 29:19 Boss, we're here. Chapter 29:19 Boss, we're here, kill him, or you will all die. The Son of Heaven was furious. He had never suffered such a loss before. He had never been insulted like this before. He couldn't tolerate this kind of attitude. Long Fei's gaze turned sinister, his murderous eyes stared straight at the Son of Heaven. The Son of Heaven's pupils constricted, not daring to look straight at Long Fei. Because fear. The power that Long Fei had exploded out just now was too strong. Even Yuan Tianwang, who was at the peak of the Emperor Profound Realm, could not take it anymore. The Son of Heaven shouted, "Did you not hear what I just said? I will let you all kill him." Everyone's gaze darkened. Yuan Tianwang slowly walked to the Son of Heaven's side. The Son of Heaven looked at Yuan Tianwang and said, "What do you want to do? What do you want? I am the descendant of God's tribe, and the blood vein are flowing in my body. If you dare touch me, I will make your 18 generations of ancestors pay." Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Yuan Tianwang whispered darkly into the ear of the Son of Heaven, "If you weren't descendant of God's tribe, you would have already died 18,000 times. Don't be so shameless, or else you won't be as simple as peeing your pants." Yuan Tianwang was also raging in his heart. If it wasn't for the Son of Heaven, his long spear wouldn't have broken either. If it wasn't for the identity of the Son of Heaven, he wouldn't need to protect it. It was the first time he had ever protected someone he hated. The Son of Heaven's face tensed up. "You, a mere disciple of Fatri sect, how dare you speak to me like this? Who does Fatri sect count as?" Yuan Tianwang said in a faint voice. "Before he gets angry, get the hell out of here as soon as possible. Otherwise, I won't stop him a second time." The Son of Heaven's body suddenly shrunk. He heavily swallowed his saliva, and looking at the expression in Long Fei's eyes in the distance, he retreated a few steps. His face paled. The Son of Heaven said, "Remember, I will kill you." Then, the Son of Heaven turned around and quickly said, "Let's go." Seeing him turn around and see him about to leave, Long Fei felt extremely unhappy in his heart and he gnashed his teeth. This really wasn't his style. How could he just let the boss go like this? Moreover, if he still remained in the God's tribe's boss, wouldn't that help Lan Mai break through his Ming men? Long Fei clenched his fists tightly. "Damn," he cursed angrily. The Son of Heaven sneered coldly, and said, "Brat, just you wait, all of you wait. Everything here will disappear from the universal realm, and it will never appear again." Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. He laughed arrogantly. Everyone in the East Imperial City was unhappy. However, no one dared to make a sound. Moreover, they all knew that if they let the Son of Heaven go, East Imperial City would definitely suffer a terrible fate. However, they just didn't dare to go forward and stop him, nor did they dare to do anything to him. If they did not make a move, there was still hope. If they killed him, the East Imperial City would not be able to protect them. Long Fei stepped forward. Yuan Tianwang took a step forward to stop him, and said, "No." Long Fei's gaze tensed up. "If you don't kill now, the East Imperial City won't be able to protect it, but now kill." Yuan Tianwang interrupted, if you kill him, the hundreds of millions of citizens in East Imperial City will have even more of a chance. Long Fei, listen to my advice, when you are still not strong enough to defeat everything, you can only lower your head in front of God's tribe. God's tribe is undefeatable for the time being. I can't beat him either. In the billions of years of history, there have been countless people who have gone against the God's tribe. Overlord, supreme expert, those who have controlled the power of the ancient inheritance, but each and every one of them were thin in comparison to the past. No one will remember them, everyone will only remember the God's tribe, because he is the ruler of the universal realm. If you want to change, then you must become strong enough to suppress God's tribe, and defeat him. Otherwise, you must lower your head. Yuan Tianwang said heavily. He wanted Long Fei to understand the reality of the situation. Similarly, he also wanted to encourage Long Fei. He is not invincible, there is no end to the path of martial arts. The sovereign realm of universal realm is not the end. When you are strong enough, you can crush everything, including the God's tribe. Even though Yuan Tianwang knew that this was impossible. Long Fei clenched his fists even harder, blood trickling down from the gaps of his fingers, and said in his heart, God's tribe. Emperor Xian. Looking at the slowly walking Tianzi, Long Fei's heart was still filled with anger. But he did not reveal it and only said, thank you, senior. I know what to do now. Yuan Tianwang smiled faintly and said, then that's good. Kid. The universal realm is the same as the lower realms. The warriors are revered and the powerhouse is the king. As long as you are strong enough, you can rule over everything. Yuan Tianwang said lightly, this is the only way you can control your own fate. You saved a lot of people today. I thank you in place of the old principal and the people of East Imperial City. Long Fei said, I only did what I felt I should have done. Senior, I'll head over to my friend's side first. Finished. Long Fei ran over to where Lan Mai was. When Tan Dapao saw Long Fei, he hurried over and said, Brother Fei, the situation doesn't seem to be changing. Long Fei tensed up. Damn it, I forgot about this. He quickly ran up. Susu's face turned purple and turned black as he struggled frantically. Both Lan Mai and Fu Shishan could not hold it back at all. Seeing that Long Fei had arrived, Susu immediately said, Big brother Long Fei, kill me, quick, kill me, pain, I can't stand it, I beg you, kill me, okay? He couldn't even shed tears. His entire body was twitching. Fu Shishan said, no antidote? Long Fei, don't you know how to refine antidotes? She's in so much pain. Unable to hold it in, tears streamed down his face. Lan Mai was the same, hurry up and save Susu, she's going to die. Woo woo. Long Fei's face tensed up, it was as if his heart was pierced by a steel needle, it was extremely uncomfortable, he could not say what the pain was. Seeing Susu struggling in pain, he wished that he could suffer this pain. CK your ancestors. Long Fei uttered from his throat. He turned around and looked into the distance. Tan Dapao immediately said, Brother Fei, the Son of Heaven and the others are already on the flying shuttle. I'm afraid it will be very difficult to catch them. The flying shuttle was simply too fast. There was no way to catch him. Long Fei didn't care. He held Susu's hand and said, you must wait for me, I will definitely take back the antidote. Then, Long Fei rushed out like a gust of wind. He was going to chase after him. He had to give chase. Rushing to Elder Swordsman's small courtyard, Elder Swordsman waited for him while smoking his pipe. Brat, you. Get out of the way. Long Fei was so angry that he seemed to have lost all reason. He had never been so angry before. Elder Swordsman frowned, but he did not move aside. It was also at this time. Rumble. 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 The massive city wall collapsed, and outside the city wall, an excited shout could be heard, Boss, we're here. Chapter 29:20 Wow, that's too cool. Chapter 29:20 Wow, that's too cool. Suddenly, a sound was heard. Then came the apocalypse. A whole wall suddenly collapsed. That scene. It was like the sky had collapsed. The walls of the East Imperial City were made of prison walls and the materials used were at the top. Even some super monster would not be able to break through them. The city walls were simply too domineering. However, now, like a piece of paper, it was easily shattered by a surge of power, as though it was effortless. Rumble. The city wall collapsed. The entire East Imperial City was shaking as sand and dust billowed. Streams of bone-chilling cold wind blew in from outside the city walls, causing the temperature of the entire city to plummet. On the city wall, Zhu Tian and the rest were trembling, their eyes unfocused. It wasn't because of the cold. It wasn't because the collapse of the city walls scared them, but because of the scene before their eyes. They were densely packed. All of them were demon beastess, blood demon, ghost general. Even if it was these, they would not be this afraid. After all, every single person who was born in the East Imperial City had experienced the bitter winter, and they had all seen monsters like the evil demon general demon beast. But the two massive creatures in front of him, they had never seen one before. White fur like snow, 10 meters tall, the Beast King aura emanated from its body, crushing everything in its path. Not only that, he was even carrying a giant lance tens of meters long. The runes carved on the lance with skulls were flickering with a dark light, as if they had been pulled out from hell. I'm afraid so. The other was even more terrifying. He was clad in a blue crystal armor with wings covering the sky. His throat kept rolling up and down as if it was made of thick flames. Just a moment ago, it was his flame that had trampled down the entire city wall. Gently. This power. Too terrifying. The warriors on the walls all paled. After being stunned for a few seconds, they quickly moved to the side, and many of them started to shout out loud, "Demon beast, demon beast. Cold winter is coming. Demon beast. It's an incomparably huge demon beast. Help. Save me." Ah. It was chaotic, and it made them all feel an incomparable sense of despair. If they had only been scared when facing the Son of Heaven, then now they knew what despair was. Too terrifying. Terrifying to the extreme. East Imperial City was also in chaos. The dean of Donghuang College's gaze tensed up as he muttered to himself, this year's cold winter came too fast. Immediately, Dean of Donghuang College said with a heavy voice, "Everyone prepare, let's form a defensive line." Yuan Tianwang also furrowed his brows. His cultivation was the highest and his sensing range was also very far. He could feel two extremely strong auras inside the surging sand. He also grew up in the East Imperial City. He had also experienced many harsh winters and knew that the demons and ghosts in the western regions were incomparably powerful, but he had never felt such a powerful energy aura before. An unbearably strong power. "Dean, I'm afraid he won't be able to hold on," Yuan Tianwang said in a low voice. The dean of Donghuang College said lightly, "Seems like Long Fei is right. This year's Han Dong really does have an ancient monster. I should have listened to him long ago. I've always had fantasies, but even if he was prepared, it would take too little time. Moreover, being hit by the Son of Heaven's spirit gathering pill, no matter how well prepared he was, it would be useless, not to mention the ancient monster, so any preparations would be useless." Yuan Tianwang said, "Right now, the only way is to try to escape." The dean of Donghuang College shook his head. "No, if we, the martial arts trainings people escape, then what about the citizens in the city? What about them? Can you escape?" Yuan Tianwang's heart trembled, and said, "I will go to Factory Sect and call for reinforcements." Dean of Donghuang College also shook his head. "I won't be in a rush, what's more." He glanced at Yuan Tianwang, and did not continue. Actually, he had some understanding about Yuan Tianwang's situation in the Factory Sect over the past few years, and he did not fare as well as he wished. All those years ago, when the White Horse Scout Yuan Tianwang was still not in the Emperor realm, he was surpassed by a lot of people in the Factory Sect who were lower ranked than him and laughed at by people. Even if he went back, he wouldn't be able to call for reinforcements. Yuan Tianwang frowned, and said solemnly, "All right, then I'll go all out." The East Imperial City was not unkind to him. If not for East Imperial City, then he wouldn't have his current cultivation. At the moment of life and death for East Imperial City. Life is born. If he died, he died. Yuan Tianwang prepared everything. His body moved as he held the severed joints of the two green Chilean spears in his hands and said, "Brother, accompany me for my final battle." He took a step forward. The Emperor's chi was fully released. 1,000 meters in a single step, in the blink of an eye, he rushed into the rolling dust. Dean of Donghuang College's gaze tensed up. In another place. The Son of Heaven laughed out loud. "Fight against me? You want to kill me? Ha ha ha. Who was going to kill who now? Who's going to die? Ha ha ha." Huahong said, "Young master, we should leave earlier. There are two big guy East Imperial Cities who would definitely not be able to hold on and turn into ruins. What's the hurry? How can we miss such a good show? In any case, we are already on the flying shuttle. There won't be even the slightest bit of danger." The Son of Heaven didn't care. He said fiercely, "Retribution, retribution, ha ha ha." How could he miss such a good show? He wanted to personally see the East Imperial City become a river of blood and turn into ruins. He felt indescribably comfortable. Ha ha ha. Kill, kill, kill them all, ha ha ha. The Son of Heaven looked outside, extremely excited. Rumble. Dust rolled about. Suddenly, a vortex of air current swept past, as a superlarge wyvern rushed out. Its body was covered in blue crystal armor, and the domineering aura on its body carried an incomparably formidable power as it appeared in front of everyone in East Imperial City. Everyone was dumbfounded. Their faces turned pale. Dragon. Is it a dragon? How can there be a dragon? It's over, it's all over. East Imperial City is finished. It was too huge. Half of East Imperial City was already gone. It was also at this time. Boom. Another sonic boom could be heard, followed by the arrival of a super large white wolf. Its body was holding onto a giant spear, making it look even more terrifying. Two giants. However, when the two of them appeared in East Imperial City, they did not kill anyone. Finally, the two giants shouted in unison once more, "Boss, we're here." In Elder Swordsman's courtyard, Long Fei raised his head to look at the gigantic flying dragon in the sky. An image flashed in his mind. A dragon. A flying dragon. Although it wasn't that big, it was very similar to him. Not only that, Long Fei felt an incomparable warmth. The other was the gigantic White Wolf King. From time to time, a few images would appear in its mind. "Boss, I'm holding back on some big moves." Fut. Ooh. A mistake, a mistake. "Boss, this time, I'm definitely going to hold back." Don't hit me, I was wrong. I won't hold back anymore." It was incomparably cordial. Long Fei muttered, "Do I know them?" At this moment, Yi Mai and the other two sisters landed and surrounded Long Fei. Each and every one of them was incomparably excited as little sister said, "Night King, they said that it's your war pet." Wow. He's really too handsome. Long Fei was slightly taken aback. "War pet? Mine?" Big sister Yi Mai shouted, "Here." The flying dragon and White Wolf King immediately locked onto the distant Long Fei. In this instant, their idea faintly moved, as a sharp light flashed in their eyes, and they excitedly shouted, "Boss, I've finally found you." Chapter 29-21 Assassination of the War Pet. Chapter 29-21 Assassination of the War Pet. Although it felt very familiar, it was a feeling of familiarity. However, Long Fei still did not believe him. Could it be that I came here to visit the universal realm in my previous life? No reason. Could it be that the memories of my seal were actually happening in the universal realm? F***CK. What's the situation? Long Fei couldn't wrap his head around it. If the flying dragon and the white wolf were his, then what about the Queen of Blood Moon? Then what about Fu Shishan? Why were they shocked the moment they heard the name Long Fei? Queen of Blood Moon did not even hesitate to use his body to try. This. Why? What did I experience before? Mother ***, who the hell is that seal that made my memories? Long Fei was furious. He couldn't figure it out, nor could he figure it out. It was also at this time. He thought of the leopard girl. Long Fei felt a shiver in his heart. Could it be? Do I need to find the 7-meat diagram in order for my seal to fully awaken? Rumble. Rumble. Boss. Boss. A wolf and a dragon fell down heavily. Even the elder swordsman at the side was shocked as he said in shock, "Good heavens. If I don't let you chase after them, you won't make these two fellows deal with an old man like me, right?" From the moment Long Fei appeared in East Imperial City, elder swordsman had been secretly observing him. How much energy could a muggle which had just ascended into a lower plane have? Now, not only did he save half of the East Imperial City, he even brought the ancient monster out. What was the background of this kid? Elder swordsman was filled with doubts. Looking at the two behemoths, Long Fei still could not believe it, but just then, Fu Shishan ran over. Xiaobai. Ice and fire. Fu Shishan immediately recognized them. You, why are you guys in the universal realm too? She was not unfamiliar with these two war pet. Xiaobai and Bing Hua also recognized Fu Shishan at first glance and shouted excitedly, "Sister Yunshan." No. She should be called Sister Yunshan. Hey. Fu Shishan's face reddened slightly, and said, "Why are you here?" Xiaobai said, "We have all come here for 100 years, just to wait for boss to appear. Now that boss is here, we can all be together again, ha ha ha." Icefire said, "It's been 100 years. I've been dreaming every day for boss to come earlier. It's finally here. Boss, who dares to bully you in this city? I'll kill him. Yes, boss. A small East Imperial City. I burnt all of it with a single breath. One was more awesome than the other. After all, East Imperial City was a city with a population of over 100 million. Isn't this too fierce?" Seeing their excited faces and hearing their words, Long Fei felt like he was an outsider. He did not have any of their memories. It was very hard. Xiaobai took note of Long Fei's expression and said, "Boss, what's wrong? Why aren't you saying anything? Whether or not we did something wrong, you punish us, and don't ever leave us behind again." Bing Hua also quickly said, "Without you, we really wouldn't have any meaning in this life." The two of them were like children who had made a mistake, and they lowered their heads to admit their mistakes. Long Fei felt even worse. Such a good war pet, was it really his? Long Fei looked at them seriously and said truthfully, "I'm sorry, you may be mistaken, but I really do not know you." Xiaobai was startled. The flames and ice also shook slightly. And then, the two of them grew up at the same time, ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Boss, you just like to joke around, but this joke isn't funny. Long Fei shook his head, "I'm not joking, I really can't remember you guys. I don't know if my memories were affected by some kind of seal. I've thought about it for a long time since you guys appeared, I really can't remember you guys. I'm sorry." Long Fei did not hide. He yearned for it in his heart. They were all his own war pet. However, he couldn't remember them. Xiaobai Lang and Bing Hua's gaze sank. Their noses twitched, and Xiaobai said with incomparable confirmation, "It shouldn't be wrong. You are our boss. The aura on your body can't be wrong." Bing Hua also said heavily, "We only have one boss in our lives. Even if we change our appearances, that familiar aura must not be wrong." Fu Shishan's eyes were filled with tears as she said, "What happened to your memories?" Thinking of herself, when she had first seen Long Fei, he actually hadn't recognized her. At that time, her heart had been in great pain, and it was the same for her now. Her heart was also in pain, not because of herself, but because of Long Fei. What kind of pain did she experience to be able to suppress her own memories with the seal? Long Fei roared in his heart. As for his own memories, they had been tormented many times. At this moment, Xiaobai Lang said, "Boss, you are our boss. If your memories disappear and you get stuck in the seal, from now on, we are still your war pet and I am still your Xiaobai. As long as you are willing to take us in." While they were talking, Xiaobai immediately knelt down on one knee. Bing Hua kneeled down. "Boss, as long as you are willing, we are still your war pet." Their eyes were serious, and there was even a hint of fear. They were worried that Long Fei would refuse. Long Fei clenched both his fists tightly, feeling very touched in his heart. If he was being hypocritical, then he wouldn't be a man. Immediately, Long Fei nodded heavily, and said, "All right." Xiao Bai Lang let out an excited cry, and said with a heavy voice, "Boss." The system suddenly sounded out. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the war pet White Wolf King. Ice and Fire also cried out heavily, "Boss." Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the war pet Wyvern. 2 notifications sounded. The war pet system in Long Fei's system was activated. The White Wolf King and Wyvern appeared, and Long Fei also gave them a name, Xiao Bai and Ice and Fire. Looking at their stats, Long Fei became excited again. What powerful stats. His cultivation is comparable to the early stage of the Emperor realm. The Emperor's realm of the demon beast and the human Emperor's realm were completely different. Their powers were even more ferocious and their speed was even faster. The war pet divided into 2 categories. Long Fei was also abnormally excited in his heart. With these 2 powerful monsters, how could he not go overboard? At this moment, a loud roar came from the sky far away. "You are King Trash. I have waited for so long. Why haven't I killed all these trash from the East Imperial City? Kill them all." The Son of Heaven's voice. Long Fei raised the center of his brows and stared into the distance. "Ice and Fire, can you catch up to the flying shuttles?" The Ice and Fire wings moved and said, "No problem." The corner of Long Fei's mouth raised slightly, his heart filled with killing intent. Elder Swordsman was startled. Not good. Chapter 29-22. This Daddy Wants You Dead. Chapter 29-22. This Daddy Wants You Dead. Without any hesitation, Long Fei directly said, "Bring me up there and chase him." He turned around and jumped onto the back of Ice and Fire. Bing Hua pushed herself up with her feet and flew into the sky, bringing up layers of air currents. Dust filled the sky and blocked everyone's line of sight. At the same time, Xiao Bai moved, and also quickly teleported out. Elder Swordsman looked up into the sky and shook his head. Sigh. This is truly courting death. Why would there be such a moron in God's tribe? Right now, no one could stop Long Fei. Yuan Tianwang? Don't even think of stopping him. However, other than Elder Swordsman, no one else knew that Long Fei was on fire and ice, and because the people of East Imperial City were all retreating, they simply did not have the time to pay attention to Long Fei. Yuan Tianwang also came back. Strange. The haunted lair, wormhole, ice plains, and monsters from the 4 great forces of Night Valley are all guarding outside the city. They didn't come in at all, so logically speaking, they should have rushed in immediately. And why didn't he kill anyone? Yuan Tianwang was completely dumbfounded. The center of Dean of Donghuang College's brows sunk as he muttered, "Not a single person was killed. Everyone was guarding outside of the city. What are they waiting for?" Yuan Tianwang said, "Those 2 huge monsters didn't kill anyone either. This is completely different from the winter of that year. Could it be that they are waiting for something?" Dean of Donghuang College also shook his head. "I don't know either." Boom. Suddenly, there was a loud explosion. Qian Yang pointed to the sky and said, "Master, quickly look." Dean of Donghuang College's gaze tensed up. "It's that flying dragon." Shua. A white shadow flashed past. Yuan Tianwang said in astonishment, "Such fast speed, that white shadow should be that white wolf, right? Strange. Why did they run out? What's going on?" The Dean of Donghuang College did not dare to lower his guard, and said, "Pass down my order. The demon beast outside the city will not attack, and we are not allowed to intervene." He had a faint feeling that this matter was related to Long Fei. Then, Dean of Donghuang College asked, "Where is Long Fei now?" Yuan Tianwang shook his head. "I don't know, I didn't see him." Wu Li suddenly asked, "Could it be on that flying dragon?" Everyone was taken aback. Everyone was dumbfounded. "Young master, let's leave quickly. Long Fei, that person is a madman. I wonder what kind of things he will do." What's more, that young miss of the Su family is still infected with the GU poison. When he finds out, he will definitely not let us leave so easily. Hua Hong said worriedly. But there was nothing else he could say, but what he got in return was a huge slap in the face. Pa. Trash. Who in the East Imperial City can catch up to the flying shuttles? Does East Imperial City have a Emperor Strongman? If it wasn't for the fact that you are still useful, I would have already kicked you down. The Son of Heaven said fiercely. His face was filled with displeasure. A woman that I can't get, no one can. You want to steal my woman? What the hell is he? When I return, I will definitely let the God's Tribe's guards flatten the entire East Imperial City. The Son of Heaven was burning with anger. He would never let this matter go so easily. Hua Hong looked at the Son of Heaven. He wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, he held back and muttered to himself, if your uncle found out about this, I'm afraid that you're not the one being trampled on by the Imperial Guards. Although the Son of Heaven was descendant of God's tribe. However, I can't ruin God's tribe's reputation like this. Not to mention. This time, not only did it tarnish God's tribe's reputation, he was also scared witless by Long Fei and peed his pants. If this matter were to spread, he estimated that he wouldn't be able to live much longer. It was too embarrassing for God's tribe. Hua Hong was also muttering to himself, it looks like I have to think about my future path. The Son of Heaven naturally didn't know what Hua Hong was thinking. Right now, he was concerned about one thing, that was the East Imperial City's blood flowing like a river. The Son of Heaven was enraged when he thought of Long Fei. He looked at the quiet East Imperial City and then at the sand that covered his line of sight. Unable to see what was happening below him, he said angrily, damn it, a bunch of trash. Even their demon beast is trash and it has been so long already. What the hell is going on? Suddenly, the shuttle swayed. The Son of Heaven's eyes tightened, and shouted, Ghost Slave, do you want to die too? If you can't even control a flying shuttle, what's the use of you? Ghost Slave quickly said, Young Master, a huge gust of air swept over. Don't find any excuses for me. Control yourself well. I still want to watch a show. The Son of Heaven said. At this moment, the sky suddenly darkened. The Son of Heaven muttered, It's getting dark. Ghost Slave's eyes darkened, and said, Young Master, there's a huge monster above us, it seems like that wyvern. The Son of Heaven rebuked angrily, Dragon your head. The dragon race is all pinned to the ground by my God's tribe, they have all been sent to guard the border, where else can the dragon be? Boom. Boom. Rumble. As he spoke, two massive dragon wings flapped. The Son of Heaven's pupils shrank. He was so scared that he didn't dare to move. His tongue was even forming a knot as he said, Quick, use the fastest speed possible. Ghost Slave moved his idea and the flying shuttle flew at full speed. Whoosh. Like a wisp of smoke, he was already 100 kilometers away. The flying shuttle was simply too fast. The Son of Heaven's heart slightly loosened. You nearly scared my soul out, wyvern? Lizard. It seems like the dragon race still have some unruly animals. I have to report this. Dragon race. Show me your dead body. The Son of Heaven grinned. However, at this moment, rumble. Yet another darkness descended. The Son of Heaven's face instantly turned cold, almost peeing once again. His flying shuttle's level was not high, but a normal powerhouse would definitely not be able to catch up with it. Unless it was a Emperor Strongman. If it was a Emperor Strongman, then. The Son of Heaven's throat went dry, and he roared anxiously, Ghost Slave, quickly run. Ghost Slave did not dare move, and said, Sir, is he right in front of us? We are completely under his wings. The moment his wings move, the flying shuttle will become scrap iron. Ann. The Son of Heaven said angrily, and what? Ghost Slave said, and on top of that flying dragon's head, stood a person. The Son of Heaven's eyes became cold. Standing on the same person? Standing is easy. I want to see who dares to block my flying shuttle. Didn't he clearly see the symbol on the flying shuttle? If he dares to block God's tribe's flying shuttle, let's see if he dares to or not. Ghost Slave said, Young noble, you should know that person. Before he could finish, the Son of Heaven came to the window. The huge dragon head was right in front of him, and on it stood a person. Long Fei. This time, the Son of Heaven was so scared that he fell to the ground. His eyes were unfocused and his body kept shaking. He said, You, why did you come here? Long Fei smirked and laughed. I am taking your life. Chapter 29-23 Mad Explosion. Chapter 29-23 Mad Explosion. No. You can't kill me. If you kill me, all the people around you will die, and the entire East Imperial City will die. The Son of Heaven said hurriedly. His cultivation could completely suppress Long Fei. However, he was afraid the moment he saw Long Fei, and couldn't help but be afraid. If he hadn't just recently been scared to the point of peeing, he would still be peeing now. Long Fei said, Why don't you take a look at where you are now? The Son of Heaven looked out the window, his face turning even paler. This was already deep inside the western regions, and was a place that the warriors of the East Imperial City did not dare enter. Anything that happened here would only make people think of the attacks of Demon Beast, not humans. After being killed by the Demon Beast, no matter how strong the God's tribe was, it would be impossible to kill all of the Demon Beast in the universal realm, right? Not to mention, the Son of Heaven was just a side character. He could only rely on Hua Hong's evil powder to have his current cultivation, otherwise, it would be impossible for him to step into the royal realm with his talent. It was even more impossible for him to enter the God's tribe palace. In that instant, the Son of Heaven bellowed and said, Ghost slave, quickly return to the East Imperial City. With a flap of his wings, he immediately surrounded the shuttle. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, Try moving one of them. Ghost slave trembled in fear and said, Young master, we can't leave. Plop. The Son of Heaven immediately knelt down and begged in tears, I was wrong, I won't dare to do it again. Big brother Long Fei, just treat it as me letting out a big fart. I swear to God, I will never come to East Imperial City again, and I will never take revenge on him, as long as you let me go this time. A high and mighty descendant of God's tribe blood vein? How could he be so arrogant as to not kneel? Bullshit. The Son of Heaven said, As long as you spare me this time, I will give you anything you want. I have many treasures here that are all in this space ring. I will give them all to you. I beg you, please forgive me this time. He continued to plead for mercy. At the same time, every time he begged for mercy, the Son of Heaven would be exceptionally ruthless. You dog, don't let me live. Otherwise, I will make you regret coming to this world. Long Fei said indifferently, If you want me to let you go, then so be it. Hand over the evil powder antidote that is on Susu's body. Antidote? The Son of Heaven was startled, and immediately looked at Hua Hong. The antidote is here, quickly give it to big brother Long Fei. Hua Hong's eyes tensed up, and said, That evil powder had not been used to concoct the antidote, this is all thanks to young master's instructions. You said that those who consume the evil powder are all dead. Dead people do not need the antidote. Pa. The Son of Heaven slapped him hard on the face and growled, When have I ever said such words? Hua Hong's face was about to split from the slap, it was in extreme pain, but she did not dare to make a sound. The Son of Heaven turned and looked at Long Fei. The evil powder was created by him, everything was his fault, it was his fault, it had nothing to do with me. Big brother Long Fei, do you want his life? With a single word from you, I'll immediately kill this harming old dog. Hua Hong's heart turned cold. He had followed the Son of Heaven for so many years, working as a horse for him and letting him beat and scold him whenever he wanted. He had thought that he was at least considered to be someone related to the God's tribe. However, it never occurred to him that in the eyes of the Son of Heaven he was nothing but a dog. Hua Hong's heart ached. Long Fei's brows also tightened, and said, There's no antidote. Can you refine the antidote? Hua Hong knew that he wouldn't be able to survive, so he gave it his all and said, Do you think it's evil powder like the spirit-gathering GU? Those are the GU worms that I cultivated with 100 different kinds of unique poisons. There is no antidote in this world that can cure them. Long Fei said in a heavy voice, Which is? You can't even concoct the antidote? Hua Hong said, That's right. Although my evil pill technique's level isn't high, It's impossible for it to break through my 100 poison evil powder. Kid, if you want to kill me then kill me. I don't have the antidote. Long Fei's heart tightened and killing intent flashed in his eyes. Tianzi immediately said, "It's all his fault, he refined the evil powder, it has nothing to do with me. Big brother Long Fei, I will gift him to you, you can kill him however you want." While they were talking, Tianzi gave the order, "Ghost slave, open the window." Crash. The Son of Heaven pressed his hand on Huahong's head and said coldly, "A evil pill like you should have died a long time ago." He was directly thrown out. Ah! Beneath the sky, Huahong let out a blood-curdling scream, and furiously cursed, "Son of Heaven, fuck your ancestors." He knew he was going to die. So, he didn't care that much and cursed out loud. The Son of Heaven said angrily, "Trash like you, living in this world is just a waste of air." Long Fei moved and said, "Xiao Bai." A white shadow flashed as it said, "Understood." Without saying a word, Xiao Bai could understand what Long Fei meant. This was cooperation. Tianzi looked at Long Fei and said, "I'm fine, Huahong will definitely fall to pieces. Brother Long Fei, can you let me go now? If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving first. If you have anything to say, just let me know. I'll definitely do it for you." Long Fei smiled and said, "Is that so? Then I do have one thing to do." The Son of Heaven said, "What is it? Say it." Long Fei said, "Hand over your life." The Son of Heaven frowned, and said, "Big brother Long Fei likes to joke around. I'm just a small fry, my life isn't worth much." Long Fei said, "It's not worth much, but it's worth some experience." While they were talking, Long Fei said heavily, "Ice and fire, attack." The Son of Heaven's eyes trembled as he said anxiously, "You can't kill me, you can't kill me, I am the descendant of God's tribe, I am the God's tribe." Long Fei did not nag him again. An explosive sound rumbled in Bing Hua's throat. "Turn around. Hualala. Hualala." Blue flames spewed out of his mouth. It devoured the entire shuttle. These flames. Long Fei himself was shocked, and he secretly exclaimed, "So awesome." 10 seconds later, the shuttle transformed into air. Everything had evaporated without a single scrap of iron remaining. This flame, destroying corpses and erasing the evidence, was simply a holy artifact. At this moment, the system sounded out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Son of the Sky. You have obtained 50,000 experience, 50,000 true spiritual value, 1 universal value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the 9-ring golden bracelet. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the immortal end sword. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the essence of Berserk Blade. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Sky Origin Essence Light. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Blood Spirit Pearl. Crazy Big Bang. Never had he experienced such a sharp explosion. Even Long Fei himself was a little muddled by the system beep. The heck, isn't this way too incredible? You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.